Show with some breaking news. Not only is it tough to go and win on the road, so I went back and I looked it up. 33.7% of road teams get a win on Thursday night. So it's already, the chips are already stacked against you. And now the Green Bay Packers find out, according to Mike Garofalo and also Ian Rappaport, that the Packers defensive coordinator Joe Barry has tested positive for COVID-19. He will surely miss Thursday night's game against the Arizona Cardinals. And he's going to be part of the planning of the defense virtually, but he will not be with the team this week, and he will not be traveling with the team on Thursday night. So the Packers already start off a little bit, for lack of a better term, handicapped when it comes to their ability to run their defense. Their defensive coordinator will not make it. How about that? Not the way you wanted to wake up today, you know? 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to give us a shout on this Green and Gold Monday, Packers do get a win, though. They go to 6-1. They have reeled off 6 straight wins. And as Aaron Rodgers said yesterday, look, it was a win. It wasn't pretty. It's one of the wins that coaches love because it's a W. But in addition to that, there's enough there that coaches can point at and say, this is what we did wrong. Let's work on this. Let's work on that. Which, you know what? It's funny because Aaron Rodgers talked about his back locking up and the antiquated rules of going and staying in a hotel the night before, and how he was kind of with a sheepish smile to say this is the kind of win the coaches love because it's that we did wrong. It's almost backhanded stuff like, hey, we're winning, leave us alone, you know? And some of you took it rather to heart as Aaron Rodgers is trying to be bigger than the coach and bigger than the team. And others said, look, he's having fun. He's smiling again. He's liking playing for the team and the franchise. And, you know, I don't want to sit here and decipher and analyze and gloss over and delve into and whatever it is you want to do, every single word that Aaron Rodgers states. But yesterday, there was a lot of things in that game you can look at and say, look, the defense, the first time they held all season long in the red zone, and whether you like it or not, Taylor Heinicke went down before he went into the end zone. I thought when he started to go down, I'm like, wait a minute, I don't think he made it to the end zone. And then sure enough, replay showed that he didn't. And I know some of you said, well, that's outside of the spirit of replay. I get it. I understand that. But let's just take this game out of it. Let's say that's a Super Bowl. Should they then, what puts more importance on one touchdown versus another? They got it right. He didn't cross the goal line. He dropped a knee before he got there. And to me, look, I know they teach quarterbacks, hey, don't take a hit. But once you cross the goal line, if the opponent hits you, that's a 15-yard penalty. I know you don't want to get hurt, but you what's the old adage? Run through the back of the end zone, get through the end zone with the football, break the plane. He tucked the ball in. So I thought it when it happened, when the replay showed exactly what I thought, I felt good about it. And then his forward progress had been stopped on the goal line stand. Now, had he not gone down, it's a touchdown. It would have been 16 for 16 in the red zone opponents against the Packers defense. It would have been a different ball game, I thought. But the bottom line was he didn't enter the end zone. So you capitalize on a gift, and that's what the Packers did. And then you go back to the Rashawn Gary pressure on Heinicke and the strip, and the ball goes into the air. Dean Lowry, he finds it in his breadbasket, falls on it, and the Packers score before half, score again out of half, and that's the turning point of the ball game. You take it, you move on. You don't apologize for a win. what we like to do is say, how good of a win was it, as opposed to other teams that are tops in the conference and how good their wins are. How good did they look in doing it? And that's when we can sit here today and start to put rankings and power rankings and all that kind of stuff together. So, but look, it's a win. Take it. Take it, move on. Because you got a tough one coming up on Thursday night. And now it's just a little bit tougher. And I know some of you are kind of like, it's Joe Barry. Who cares? I mean, because you love the fact that Joe Barry's not going to be there. And some of you think, well, the Joe Barry defense is starting to get a little bit better. And you're missing Jair. You're missing Kevin King. You're missing Zedarius. You're missing Preston. You're bringing in new talent. You had Kenny Clark go down in the middle of the game, and he went off and got his ankle rewrapped and came back in. You had some guys banged up. You got Darnell Savage Jr. that's coming back out of concussion protocol, and you can go on and on and on. This has been a banged up defense. It just has been. And if you continue to win with this defense, so be it. But you're already going on the road in a game in which the chips are stacked against you, and now you take another blow that your defensive coordinator is not going to be there. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Andrew says, I think they were limiting Aaron Jones' touches and probably others to be okay for Thursday's game. They got the win, even if looking ahead. Defense is playing well, even with both starting corners out. I think the defense is playing more aggressive. And yesterday you saw 3-man rush, 4-man rush, 4-man rush with a linebacker, 4-man rush with an outside. You saw some stunt. You saw some different things yesterday. And you saw a defense in Washington. They did everything they could to get Aaron Rodgers off the mark. And Aaron Rodgers, he went down yesterday a couple times. I think 3 to be exact, if I'm not mistaken. And they threw everything they had at that Packers offensive unit. I don't know how good and I don't know if David Bakhtiari, by the way, is going to play coming up on Thursday night. We'll wait and see. But the offensive unit for the Green Bay Packers, that offensive front, John Runyon, Royce Newman, Lucas Patrick, Billy Turner, Elkin Jenkins, they played a full game. You're just looking to kind of slide things over. You're not going to have Josh Myers after he goes on the IR. You're going to slide Jenkins over, bring David Bakhtiari back, solidify that side of the line, and we'll see what happens. Lazard with a good day yesterday. Devontae Adams with a good day yesterday. You're right. Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon split a lot of time. Aaron Jones, 41 snaps yesterday. A.J. Dillon, 13 snaps yesterday. So they split some time. But Aaron Jones, when it came to carrying the football and kind of carrying the load yesterday, Aaron Jones only got 6 carries. Now, he got 5 targets out of the backfield, so he handled the ball 11 times for a total of, 39 yards, I think, yesterday. Only 19 yards on the ground the Packers had. It was good to see Mercedes Lewis and Robert Tonyan get in the mix. We're starting to see a little bit more of the tight end. And let's be honest, on a little bit windier day, and you knew the rains were coming at some point, although it didn't really have any kind of a game time weather effect on that particular game. But good to see the tight ends get in the mix again. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Hit us up. This one's from Andrew, who says, when you look at this team, they better spy on Kyler Murray. He's going to run for 3,600 yards if they don't.
Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Sometimes I get a good feeling, yeah. I get a feeling that I never had before. No, I get a good feeling, yeah. Oh, sometimes.
Packers get a win, knock off the Washington football team 24-10. It wasn't a perfect game, but you take it, you move on, 6-1. Cardinals last night, they just blew the hell out of the Texans. 7-0 the Cardinals are, sitting in Arizona right now, waiting to welcome in the Green Bay Packers. The Texans with a safety and a field goal, they got beat 31-5 yesterday. 31-5. Some of the bigger surprises right now in football. What are they? Some of the bigger surprises. The fact that San Francisco is only 2-4 in the season. The Raiders are 5-2. Cincinnati is 5-2. Some of the bigger surprises. The fact that the Bears, they got drilled yet again, 38-3. The Tennessee Titans were expected to be good. How about the 3-4 Kansas City Chiefs? The 3-4 Kansas City Chiefs. A lot of things going on in the NFL that are a little bit different. You know what? I enjoy it. I'm glad to see. Look, Kansas City, back-to-back Super Bowls, tremendous team. Yesterday, you had Patrick Mahomes goes down with an injury. He ends up throwing that pick. The turnovers continue to come. They are not good. I mean, good guy. That defense is terrible. That defense gave up to Derrick Henry and company. Now, Derrick Henry was expected to run for like 160 yards, never did, but they were 8 of 12 on third down yesterday. 66.7% the Titans were offensively. 36-21 in time of possession to 23-39. Dominating that game. That defense of, I'll tell you this. I know this past week we were talking about, well, if the Packers can get just one win, beat Washington, and, man, 2 tough games. And I'll tell you, I think the Packers are going to beat Kansas City. I think that if I have to sit here today, and I've said it last week, so I'm not kind of going off the reservation, so to speak, but you've got the loss coming up against the Cardinals. The chips are already stacked against them. They've got a lot of injuries in the secondary. Their defensive coordinator now has COVID. I think there's a lot stacked against the Packers to lose this game. So I'll just say, if I have to be a betting man, I would say the Packers lose this one. They beat Kansas City. They beat Seattle. They beat Minnesota. I think the next real tough game for this team, I think it's going to be against the Rams. Coming into Lambeau Field, November 28th. November 28th against the Rams. Then they have a bye. Then they beat the crap out of the Bears, because the Bears, at that point in time, should have left Matt Nagy somewhere in a river. That guy's terrible. He's terrible as a head coach. And then they've got the Baltimore Ravens, who just got their brains beat in by Cincinnati 41-17. And doing so, they benched Lamar Jackson in this game. He looked bad. Lamar Jackson, 15 of 31, 257 yards, just didn't look good. Took off and ran. He ran for 88 yards in a contest, but didn't look great. A lot of incomplete passes. Then again, they also had a few drops yesterday. Didn't throw a pick, though. I mean, Joe Burrow, 23 of 38, 416 yards Joe Burrow threw for. But he only died. About Cincinnati. The guy, 201 yards he had yesterday in a touchdown. Had that 82-yard pitch and catch where Joe Burrow went over the top and hit him in stride, which Joe Burrow throws a terrific ball, hit him in stride for the touchdown. But Lamar Jackson, they sat him down yesterday in that blowout. They're like, you know what? We'll save you for another day. So you've got the Ravens going down. I think the Packers are going to beat the Ravens. I think they're going to beat the Browns. I think they're going to beat the Vikings again. And then you've got January 9th against the Lions. Now, there may be one consequential loss in there if something goofy happens, okay? Because the Packers do sometimes live on the edge. But I can see just 2 more losses, which would give you a total of 3 for the season. Dare I say 14-7? 14. Can you see 14-7? Ben, where do you think the Packers will lose for the remainder of this season, the way they're playing right now, and the fact that they're doing it with a lot of guys banged up, and they're not even playing great football, and they're still winning games?
I find it funny, Bill, that finally they get a stop in the red zone, and then they all just happen at once. But, I mean, Arizona, I really think they lose on Thursday. And then one of those late season NFC North games, maybe when the division is locked up, like when the Vikings come to town, maybe they need a win to make the playoffs. The Packers are cruising to the finish. But I would say Arizona, and then I mean Kansas City, that's become a win more and more.
Right. I think Kansas City's done. I think their reign is over. They've obviously lost a lot of pieces defensively. That's what happens when you pay your quarterback a ton of money, even though his money isn't totally hitting the books just yet. But I think 14-3 is going to be the way this team ends up. 14-3, 13-4. But that's where the Packers are going to finish this season. I really, and I mean, unless something catastrophic happens, I really believe that's where they're going to go. I just think that's the way they're going to end up this year. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Hit us up. Agree or disagree? Agree or disagree? Agree or disagree? Jeff says 14-3, not 7. Did I say 14-7? If I did, it was a mistake, obviously. Jerry says Lamar is not a quarterback, period. He's a classic athlete playing quarterback. When his athletic ability has taken away from him and he's forced to go through his reads, it's over. 877-867-1670. Hit us up. And I've said all along, I thought his year that he won the MVP, he was tremendous. He was run, but they utilized him in a different way. They put him out on the edge. They ran him quite a bit, a lot of RPO, that type of thing. That's where he's at his best. But the problem is, and it's this way with every running quarterback. If you're not a good read pocket passer, you will not have longevity in this league. You just won't. You just won't. It just won't happen. Because defenses, they figure out that you're going to run. And so what do? I mean, go back to when Colin Kaepernick did it, and you got Clay Matthews taking a shot at him out of bounds. They're going to hit you, and hit you a lot. They're going to hit you a lot. And eventually it takes its toll. And teams don't, especially when you get the money, teams don't want to risk money. So they put you in the pocket and they say, let's keep you here. We're not going to risk you. We're not going to risk injury. And all of a sudden you got to be a pocket quarterback. And if you don't have that read ability, if you don't have that arm ability, if you don't have that accuracy, if you're better on the run, then you're not going to be a longevity wise when it comes to, you're not going to have longevity when it comes to playing quarterback in the NFL. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Sean says, what happens if the Packers win on Thursday night? Oh, the respect level goes way up. I mean, it just like I said with the Packers, if they lose, it's how they lose. It would be how they win. Do they win because they just play execution and flawless football? Or does Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins and do they all get injured early on in the game and suddenly it's just a massive change? You know, do they earn it by, let's say they do get injured, but do they earn it via like a just a really good, solid open field tackle type of hit? Or is it some quirky thing? I mean, there's a lot of things that can play into it. You know what I mean? And I don't want to talk about injury, meaning that's the way the Packers are going to win. But I'm just saying, does it happen that way? Do they win because they have flawless execution and they look like they have just hit their stride? Or is it because suddenly a lot of injuries begin to overtake the Arizona Cardinals and the Packers capitalize on that? Because injuries are part of the game. But it would be the same as if, say, Aaron Rodgers goes down. Well, it changes things dramatically. It's not just like, hey, next man up. It changes things dramatically. So you wait and see. But if the Packers should win on Thursday night, man, it really does. If the Packers should win on Thursday night, it would almost vault them to the top spot in the NFC as far as your outlook goes. Because then at what point would you say they're going to lose? Do you just look at it as Matthew Stafford coming to Lambeau Field and because they have a better defense, they're going to be able to stymie what Aaron Rodgers does? Because right now, all you got to do is say Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp. If you can stymie those two guys, you got a legitimate shot at beating the Rams. So how they win if the Packers win is how your outlook will change. Brian says a win is a win. If they beat a team that's undefeated, I give them all the credit in the world. Brian, I agree with you. You give them credit because you still, let's just say again, that if they have flawless execution, your level of respect goes from here to here. If Kyler Murray goes down and they capitalize on it, that's what good teams are supposed to do. But you can say you almost won by process of elimination. The same way any team facing the Green Bay Packers, say Aaron Rodgers goes down and that team wins the game. Well, did you lose Aaron Rodgers in the first quarter or on the last drive? Did you beat the team or did Aaron Rodgers go down and make it exponentially more easy? You know what I mean? There's a lot of there. That's why every game, every series, everything gets judged in a certain way. You can't just have a blanket statement and say, well, it is what it is. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. This is from Max, who says what the Rams have out in LA is a good defense, not a great defense. Everybody's giving them a lot of credit. Donald is certainly a force, but the rest of that team stacks up with just about anybody. They're not great. They're a good defense. I'm Aaron Donald. They're led by Aaron Donald. Sean Robinson's solid. I like Leonard Floyd and that Sam linebacker position. Jordan Fuller is solid at the strong safety. They've got some good players over there. I'm not going to knock them. They got some good players. Is it a great defense? Is it a Bears defense from 1985? Hell no. Not even close. Not even close. But that's what they have as and they've got pretty good special teams too. But what they have is just a solid team, much like the Green Bay Packers. Much like the Packers, just a solid team. And they got a decent win. I mean, at home against the Rams, we figured Jared Goff would come into that game and just be completely loaded because he wanted to prove something. And Jared Goff played okay, but two picks, 22 of 36, 268 yards. He had one bounce off his receiver's hands. The other one was just a bad throw. Had the one touchdown pass, 2 picks though. Meanwhile, Matthew Stafford, 28 of 41, 334 yards, 3 touchdowns on the day. The quarterback rating of about 117 from what I remember reading. Not a bad day at the office for Matthew Stafford. And the Rams, by the way, against that Lions defense, I was reading this morning when I started looking at, because I always look at third down percentages when what you do offensively. The Rams or the Lions defense, they couldn't get off the field. They gave up damn near 70% of the third downs. I think the Rams were like 9 of 13, I want to say. 9 of 13 on offense on third down. That's just the defense. That's just not getting it done. You're going to win every damn day of the week if you can do that. 877-867-1670. Go Pack Go says the same points per game, and the Packers give up less yardage per game than the Rams do. They, statistically speaking, the Packers, for those that say the Joe Barry defense stinks and this and that, the points per game and the yards per game have steadily come down. I don't know if you've paid attention to it. Now, some will say it's because of the competition. Well, you played Washington. Well, you played a bad Bears team. Well, they beat Cincinnati. They beat Cincinnati in Cincinnati. The Steelers are struggling, but they beat the Steelers. They beat San Fran in San Fran. You know, you can only make up so many excuses because you can only play the teams that are on your schedule. At some point or another, you got to go, you know what? This team's pretty good. And as long as they continue to get better, they're going to have a legitimate shot at winning deep into the postseason. As long as you don't continue to sustain all of these injuries that are season ending, or at least, you know, guys going to the IR, so to speak. 877-867-1670. Hang in there. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Bud Light. They are the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network on this Green and Gold Monday. And our friends at Wisconsin Harley-Davidson. Saw Craig, the GM over there, over the weekend. Had a nice little outing with a bunch of friends, big bonfire, end-of-season bonfire on Saturday night. Good stuff. They still got a lot of deals, a lot of good motor clothes for the wintertime, and they've got great gift ideas coming up for the holidays as well. Check out wishd.com. That's wishd.com. That's wishd.com. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program on this Green and Gold Monday. Packers get a win. They knock off Washington, and now they're back at it on Thursday night, a quick turnaround. And whether or not, we'll see whether or not the Packers are able to overcome. As far as, you got a question from Tom who says, do you think Rodgers, how do you think Rodgers felt with reaction to LaFleur calling him, quote, Coach Rodgers? And then he says, is Arizona safety Brian Corbett cleared to play? I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. And Gary says, of course, because Gary's an anti-Rodgers guy. Tom, who cares what Rodgers thinks? You have to care what Rodgers thinks. You have to. You're in the midst of a season. You're trying to do everything right. You have to. You can't just say, who cares? You're out of here. Because that's not the way to go about it. Let's see here. Cindy says offensive line better learn to block before Thursday to give Aaron a little bit more time and protection. Yeah, the protection over the last couple of games has been mounting. When you talk about yards per game, Yards per game. Packers are number 7 overall right now in the National Football League, defensively speaking. Defensively speaking. And when you talk about passing yards per game, the Packers are number 6. So Packers defensively speaking, and they're only giving up 20.9 points per game, which then makes them number 7. So number 7, number 6, and number 7, respectively, in many different categories in the National Football League. I mean, that's nothing to sneeze at. Now, when it comes to turnovers and their turnover differential, here's another thing to think about. Packers are number 6 in football, tied for number 6 with the Rams and the Saints. They're +5 right now. When you talk about takeaways, they've got 7 interceptions, 4 fumbles, 11 total punch-outs, and they've given the ball away 6 times. They're +5. They've had 3 fumbles that they've coughed up, and obviously the 3 interceptions that Aaron Rodgers has in the season. But they're +5 right now in differential. Buffalo leads everybody at +11. I mean, they're just having a hell of a season as far as taking the ball away. They've got 10 picks on the season. One of the best. 10 them, Tampa Bay, and Dallas, by the way. Dallas has 11 picks on the season because they've got a front 4 that can rush the quarterback, and they've got some pretty solid defensive backs. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Hit us up. 877-867-1670. Give us a shout. What else do we have? Got this one from Mark. Yeah, this is from Mark, who says, Mark says, coming up this week, this Thursday night, he says this weekend, but this Thursday night, he said, how big of a role do you think Zach Ertz plays in the offense? Look, if they're smart, they'll use Zach Ertz the same way the Packers do. You move Kyler Murray around. Zach Ertz is either a guy that they're going to have help chip block, or he's going to be a receiver that's going to move the chains. And in the 20, he's extremely solid. And again, they can get the ball downfield. Chase Edmonds presents a really good threat at running back, a good 1-2 punch with James Conner. We talked about that. DeAndre Hopkins, one of the best wide receivers in all of football. Christian Kirk, solid. AJ Green is solid. I mean, there's weapons for Kyler Murray. You know, now you got to wait and see if Chandler Jones and Zach Allen and Corey Peters and those guys are back from the COVID protocol. Who's actually going to play in this game? (877-867-1670). If you want to give us a shout, do it. You can also hit us up via email, as many do. And that is simply vbillmichaels@gmail.com. Steve says, just a couple of thoughts about the Packers on both sides of the ball. The offense, it was good to see the tight ends heavily involved in the game plan. Tanya with a few nice catches, as well as Mercedes Lewis. Josiah DeGuara seems to be on the field, but has not been much of a factor. Devontae Adams is the best wide receiver in the league, and with Rodgers, they seem to be unstoppable at times. I don't see how the Packers can afford them both next year, so I'm just enjoying the hell out of them right now. Defensively, the play of Devondre Campbell has been outstanding. The play of Rashawn Gary continues to be very good, and he seems to be getting better each and every week. Eric Stokes got burned for the TD, but bounced back well and seems to learn from his mistakes very quickly. I really like his tight coverage. And in the next year or two, him and Jair is going to be the best quarterback tandem in football. The NFL, kudos to the Cincinnati Bengals. They're playing well and have the rookie of the year in Jamar Chase. A lot of NFL draft experts thought that the Bengals blew the number 5 pick by taking Chase over Sewell. So much for the experts. Watch it. Well, there's something to be said as well for the relationship between Joe Burrow and Chase, because those two guys really just genuinely like each other, want to work together. So there's something to be said for that. How much longer are the Bears going to stick with Nagy and Pace? They're just a bad football team, and it seems to me that the players are mailing it in. Just watch Allen Robinson run a route. His body language is horrible, and the team is regressing. That's from Steve in Richfield. Let's hope, Steve, that they keep Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace for years to come. Let's just hope they do that. Let's just hope they keep that up. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Stenny's, which is Second and National, downtown Milwaukee. Big Halloween costume contest coming up on Saturday night. We're going to be down there, as a matter of fact, judging it. So come on down and spend the evening with us. Coming up this Saturday night, downtown Milwaukee, Second and National, Walker's Point. That is Stenny's. Looking forward to it. This is from Mike. Mike says, I think that Matt LaFleur has done a fine job. And it seems like some of the quips back and forth between him and Aaron Rodgers are just that. People want to read too much into it. Look, I agree. Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers have a really good relationship. I don't think there's ever been a doubt that they have a good relationship. I think we wanted to make more out of it because of the relationship on the outgoing of Mike McCarthy, that Aaron Rodgers was in some way, shape, or form some kind of coach killer or something, and that wasn't going to happen. So I think they've always had a good one. I think the fact that he can laugh and call him Coach Rodgers, look, Rodgers, he had a back issue. For those that didn't know, coming into the game yesterday, he woke up, got to the stadium early on yesterday morning to get some back therapy because his back locked up. He said his back locked up on him. And I mean, that's a scary thing. I mean, especially with an older quarterback. And he's had it happen before. And he said, look, no ill will towards the hotel. It's not his own bed. And he said, he called it a very antiquated thing that players have to go to a team hotel the night before a game, whether at home or on the road. It's something that's been going on for years. There's a reason for it. And it's not necessarily that Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams and Randall Cobb are going to go out run around, but you want to do team oriented things. You want to do team meetings, team dinner. You want to keep your guys together. You want to make sure everybody's under one roof. You can do your checks, all that kind of stuff. You want to make sure guys are doing the right thing and getting themselves ready for the game the next day. And if you let everybody scatter to different parts unknown to their homes in the city, you can't drive around and check on everybody. You've got to watch them. You hate to say that, but you are talking about younger guys in their mid-20s, early 20s, late 20s that make a good amount of money, that are football players, idolized, adored, whatever. And there's temptations. There's things you want to make sure that you've got the ability to kind of fend that off a little bit. Now if you have the new GPS monitors and somebody's up and out of their house and driving around town at 1 a.m., then you have the ability to call them and say, hey, what the hell are you doing? But I get it. I get what Rodgers is saying. He's not wrong. It's just you can't, in that particular case, there's only so many rules you can make for it, with the exception of Aaron Rodgers, because then it becomes, you again, placing yourself on a shelf over everybody else. You're the pedestal guy. And we know how good you are. We know that you're a team leader. But if you want to be a team leader, be a team member. Don't be different than everybody else. 877-867-1670. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show on Gold Monday. Stay tuned. We'll be back after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, in Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers beat Washington 24-10. Aaron Rodgers with 3 touchdown passes, one to Davante Adams, another to Alan Lazard, and a third to tight end Robert Tonyan.
Green Bay trying to take advantage of the takeaway. Into the end zone, tight end, touchdown, Tonyan. Happy tight end's day.
The NFL on Fox, Tonyan, after the game.
I thought the safety was going to be outside leverage me. I was still thinking it was going to be a good opportunity to get the ball. And then I went vertical, and then I saw the linebacker attach me inside, and I was like, this is the perfect look. So I was hoping the ball was going to be in there when I turned, and it was, and good throw.
Washington racked up 430 yards of offense, but went 0 for 4 in the red zone. Quarterback Taylor Heineke.
We need to find ways to finish drives as an offense. We're leaving a lot of points out there on the field, and it's something that we're all frustrated with, and we all want to change, and we need to figure it out.
Aaron Rodgers says he didn't get a good night's sleep the night before the game and said it's time to do away with putting the home team up in a hotel.
I woke up this morning and my back was killing me. It was all locked up, and I came in here early, and I don't want to blame it on the hotel. It's a nice hotel, but my bed at the house would probably be a little bit of a better option, I think.
What does Matt LaFleur think?
Well, Coach Rodgers and I will have a discussion after this, I'm sure.
That's Packers head coach Matt LaFleur. In Green Bay, I'm Mike Clemens on The Bill Michaels Show.
You got to hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket.
Uh-oh. Controversy. Coach Rodgers. We're going to talk about this now. It's no big deal. Don't worry about it. So Matt LaFleur yesterday talked about Rashawn Gary. Rashawn Gary got a game ball yesterday. Came up big. Take a listen.
I thought our pass rush, specifically in the second half, really got going. It was great to see guys like Rashawn Gary get 2 sacks. He was an impact player on this game. We see it every day, just the energy, the effort, what he brings to this football team, how much he cares. It's awesome to see a guy like that get rewarded.
Also, Rashawn Gary then asked, hey, look, you get a game ball. Things are kind of flowing in the right direction for you right now. But in the grand scheme of things, you're sitting at 6-1. You got to feel good about it.
Satisfying is not satisfying. I just finished week 7, still got a whole season, still got a lot to improve and get better in my game to help myself and help this defense, get to where we got to be. I'm not thinking about no success, what's happening. I'm taking it week by week, day by day, just trying to become the best player I can.
In addition to that, Aaron Rodgers then thanked the team trainers after expounding upon that back that locked up.
I woke up this morning and my back was killing me. It was all locked up, and I came in here early. Maybe you guys know this or don't know this, but there's an antiquated procedural thing in our league where the most important night of sleep, we stay at a hotel. And I don't want to blame it on the hotel. It's a nice hotel. But my bed at the house that I'm sleeping every other night of my time here in Green Bay would probably be a little bit of a better option, I think.
You talk about a backhanded slap, an antiquated rule. Now, again, you sleep in hotels on the road. You have to, I get what he's saying. I understand it, but it's
maybe that's what'll get him to leave Green Bay.
Right. Is if I don't have to stay in a hotel anymore, if I can, you know what he's starting to sound like? Barry Bonds and Sammy Sosa that demanded special things when they were on the road. I mean, and just from, years ago and knowing different hotels and managers and stuff, some of these guys started demanding things that the team acquiesced to. It all, like Barry Bonds always had to stay in a suite and always had to stay in a corner. And had to be on a different floor. Sammy Sosa, kind of the same thing. But it was just all these different demands that they had to have, as opposed to everybody else that just got a room. Here's your key, go on up, enjoy yourself. But Bonds had to have a suite and had to be in the corner of the hotel, always. Sammy Sosa got into that as well. I know that for years he had stayed in a particular room downtown Milwaukee. It was always the same room, always had to be furnished with certain things. It's kind of getting to where Aaron's like, this is antiquated. I want to do this. I want to do. He's probably right. Look, his back for the better of the team. Yes. But are you going to what if everybody starts coming up with things? Do you do it just for Rodgers? Do you do it for everybody else? Do you do it for an up and coming rookie? Or does the rookie have to go through everything like everybody else has? Or maybe it's, I get what he's saying, but there's no reason to say it. Oh, the antiquated rule. In other words, you're saying this is a stupid rule. We should get rid of it. But there's a reason they do it. And that's one of those things where, and again, I don't want to sit here and analyze every word he says, but be the leader. Say, look, we went, stayed in a hotel, back locked up a little bit, didn't feel good coming in this morning. I want to give praise and credit to the staff because I had a back issue. That's it, really. And that's the story. But now the story is, well, Aaron doesn't want to stay in the hotel. If he doesn't say anything, nobody says a word about it. That's on Aaron. That's on Aaron. 100%. That's what people are talking about today. So I know that Matt LaFleur says it tongue in cheek. We're going to have to talk to Coach Rodgers, but I'm sure he's going, hey, Aaron, there's no reason even to go there, man. Why would you say that? Why would you say that? And then that's what people are talking about. Just yet another thing that's going to make Aaron mad and want to get out of here. 877-867-1670. That's what people are talking about today. In the meantime, when you continue to go through this team and listen to Aaron Rodgers, Allen Lazard, 5 catches, 60 yards. He gets into the mix. As a matter of fact, he had the touchdown on that drive, in which it was the Allen Lazard drive, all in the same second quarter drive when it put the Packers up 14-7.
Being my third year here in the system with these guys, playing here at Lambeau, knowing the home crowd and everything, knowing our field, the repetition has just instilled a lot of confidence in me.
So what we'll do after the top of the hour when we come back, talk a little bit more about this. Got to get some Badger chatter in too. Badgers got to win. You got the World Series getting ready to get underway tomorrow night. But I also want to hear from the Washington side of things because, while they didn't capitalize, they also had a couple of mistakes that were extremely costly and some reviews as well. We're going to talk with Eric Baranchek of the Green Bay Press-Gazette coming up. We'll talk with him about what he saw yesterday and what the film is going to show us coming up tomorrow once the All-22 is released. We'll get into that discussion. So we'll get his take on yesterday's contest. And again, it's a win. You're 6-1. You have yet to play really, really impressive football. You've had quite a few mistakes, but just gradually you're watching and the statistics continue to get better defensively. and you're losing more and more pieces. You don't have Jair. You don't have Kevin King. You got a young guy in Stokes just starting to learn. Preston Smith is now down with that quad injury. Za'Darius has been gone all season. So you're bringing in new guys to try to piecemeal this thing together. TJ Slayton is getting a little more reps and getting a little bit better. Things are getting a little better defensively. Joe Barry is told finally put pressure on quarterbacks at halftime in the second game of the season, and that defense is kind of vaulted from that point on. In the meantime, your offense still not firing on all cylinders, and yet you're winning games. So how good is this team? We'll get into that discussion when we come back. By the way, and for those who are just tuning in, we let off the show with it today, but Joe Barry, defensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers, will not be with the team come Thursday. Tested positive for COVID. Now goes into the protocol. Stay tuned. A lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. 3 more hours yet to go. Eric Baranchek, Green Bay Press-Gazette, joins us next. Oh, now lift. Okay, go ahead.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed. And they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover guitar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
When I was little, we could talk about anything.
I still want you to talk to me.
When I was little, you taught me to follow rules.
I still want you to guide my life.
When I was little, we laughed and played.
I still want us to have fun together.
When I was little, you gave me hugs.
I still could use a hug once in a while.
When I was little, you told me you loved me every day.
I still want to hear those words.
When I was little, you were my hero.
I still want to look up to you. You're my parent, and I'll always need you.
No matter their age, your children never stop counting on you. Stay close to your kids. Stay connected. Visit parenting.org for helpful resources or call the Boys Town National Hotline at 800-448-3000 for free parenting advice.
Packers get a win. They knock off Washington. Now a short turnaround. They're going to do it without Joe Barry, as Joe Barry has tested positive for COVID, so he will not be making the trip with the team coming up Thursday night out in the desert. In the meantime, we're going to break down the Packers' win from yesterday. Joining us on the hotline, Eric Baranchek at the Green Bay Press-Gazette. So, Eric, first and foremost, the Packers do get a win. They didn't play a great game, but they're still sitting at 6-1, and they haven't hit their peak. So, I guess in the world of optimism, this team can only get better. And what that means is more and more wins along the way, you would assume.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on this morning. Appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to shore some things up. I mean, listen, this game coming up on Thursday is going to be I think a lot of people are, in the last several years, decade, maybe Arizona really wasn't very good, but it's not the same Arizona team that they're going to face on Thursday.
The Packers defensively, they finally get a stop, and at one point they were 15 for 15 and allowing opponents to score. But they got a stop, but it was kind of a gimme stop because for whatever reason, Heineke decided to go down at the goal line and then ended up giving away that touchdown. But at least it seemed to propel the defense. The defense has played better, and that's been without Jair or Kevin King or Preston or Zedarius. So let's start with the defense. Are they getting better in your eyes?
They have gotten better. There's no question about it from the opener, right? But there's still some major question marks that got to be answered, and they need they need one more playmaker. They need someone that you can rely on to make the play. It doesn't have to be flashy. It doesn't have to be exciting. And you look at, they brought in a couple of players on defense, Douglas, and they brought Merciless in, and they brought in Jalen Smith. Of those three, someone's got to step up. And there needs to be more consistent play from the defensive line. I guess the spot that's still kind of hung in the air is that inside linebacker spot. I don't know what Barnes did to get himself out of favor, but I don't think the answer is Jalen Smith.
Well, that's the next question. So how much, if you play him, it's not a bad move, but I agree with you that they were so high on.
I don't know. It looked like they were kind of sprinkling them in. Well, last week they got him in a couple plays. There could be some specific packages. I think if you want to maybe blitz him, but he shies away from contact at the point of attack so much, and he'd rather dance around blockers rather than engage blockers. And he's not much of a physical presence. Not like Campbell. I mean, Campbell's an inside linebacker, right? But there still needs to be someone that can come up and take a guard and, snot his nose up a little bit, because right now, I mean, he just dances around and, kind of gets in on a tackle, and it's not the Jalen Smith from years ago. I mean, it's completely, it's really shocking how fast he's fallen off the table.
Then you mentioned Devondre Campbell, and now you bring in, obviously, you got Ladarius Hamilton back there, Ty Summers is back there, and Burtz is back there, Whitney Merciless is back there. You got all these different guys that can rush from all these different areas, albeit Burtz and Summers are more special teams guys, but at least you feel a little bit deeper right there, right?
Well, and I think especially going into this game, that Thursday night game, they're not going to put on the pads at all. I mean, they might not even put on the helmets all week because it's going to be, just walk through stuff. And that's where you rely on your veterans, the core of your team, because all of your reps are going to be pretty much it's going to be walk through and mental reps and being able to watch the game. And listen, and the Cardinals are having the same thing too. But in a situation like this is where you are going to rely on your vets, your guys that have been through it. And I look at a guy like Merciless, and he's been through it, and he could be, I think that's a big help for them, man. And especially in that particular room where you rattled off a bunch of names, but other than Rashawn Gary right now, who's playing really good? Who's someone that you can, hang your hat on and say, this guy is going to set the edge, and you know what, he's going to get it some pass rush, and he's going to make a tackle on defense. I mean, there isn't anybody at that outside spot. Preston Smith's got the oblique. How good is he going to be coming back? So having a veteran like Merciless, I think, in my opinion, I want that guy in my room, showing these guys this is how pros do it.
And you at least saw him yesterday have a little bit of an impact in that game as well. I'm just kind of anxious to see, once everybody is kind of back, where this thing goes and how good this defense can be. I like the fact that Slayton's getting a little more active. Kenny Clark came off the field yesterday for a short period of time, got the ankle rewrapped, went back in. Slayton filled the bill and did okay. Lowry's starting to show up a little bit more and more, albeit yesterday that interception kind of fell right into his lap, but at least you're seeing a little bit more out of him. Give me because you talked about the defensive front, give me your thoughts regarding the defensive front right now.
Well, I think they're decent against the run. I'd like to see a little bit more athleticism out of that position, but you got what you got, and having an athletic defensive lineman those guys don't grow on trees, right? And you got to find them. And you're not going to. And when you get a good athletic defensive lineman, they don't move around teams very often because the good Lord only makes so many big guys that can run. It's hard for me because sometimes I feel really good against the run, but I think against the pass, sometimes their lack of athleticism kind of bites them a little bit. And I think this week it's really going to be difficult because here you got a quarterback that can run, and for whatever reason, I guess it's everybody in the league. I kind of come down on the Packers defense a little bit with a running quarterback, but it's really everybody. It's really difficult to decide what you're going to want to do against a quarterback that can hurt you with his arms as well as his legs. Do you sit tight? Do you stay in your lanes and have your two deep down linemen just kind of stay tight to make him run around the outside and hopefully your Greyhounds can go get him? Or do you just come after him and let it happen what happens and have a linebacker be the spy there? But, if you had a little bit more athleticism out of that spot, I think you'd feel a little bit better going into this game, and you don't have to scheme so much. But, it's going to be really interesting to see what they're going to do, if they're going to just sit tight with the two down guys, or they're going to, maybe that's where Jalen Smith comes in. But they're going to need to have relentless pressure off the edge, and the inside guys are going to have to stay home and can't get split like the Red Sea, because then that's when they're going to go off for 30, 40 yards downfield.
How much does the return of David Bakhtiari, when he comes back, change the dynamic of the offense?
I probably a couple of weeks ago, I may not have been as excited about it, but I'll tell you what, the deal is this. It isn't about David Bakhtiari. It really isn't. It's about kicking Elton Jenkins down the guard and then they can, open up some holes deep inside. And actually, it's funny. I was having a conversation this morning with Pete Doherty, and I'm like, I don't understand why they just don't put Jenkins down at center and live with Josh Nijman out there at left tackle and chip and do stuff with your running backs. I get that. I think if you want to run more than 57 yards, that's a really good front four that they faced, and there's not a lot like that. But you got some athletes there and some big dudes, and I just think the way that he is so good at the point of attack, and then being able to peel off and pick off a backer and keep his feet moving. I really like that point, and I just think that they'd be more effective with him at center currently. But when Bakhtiari comes back, because he's not going to be great. I mean, people can't expect him to not give up a sack. The first couple of weeks that he's back, it's going to take a little bit of time, to get those nerve endings in that knee all figured out and everybody feeling good about it. And he's going to have some rust against guys that have been, playing 7-8 weeks in the league already. So, I think the biggest impact is not Bakhtiari at left tackle, but Jenkins inside.
I think Jenkins moving inside. I think Bakhtiari just coming back, and I agree with you, it's going to take him a little while. But the fact that you at least have the faith that you don't have to keep tight ends in to chip block, at least they can become more and more and more as time goes on, more a part of the offense. And if you don't need them to chip block, that may then lead to the involvement of Josiah DeGuara in different areas as well, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you can put a running back can go out there and check. One thing that a lot of people do not realize when you talking about running backs and Aaron Jones, he can catch the ball, he can run the ball, but one thing that a lot of people don't really realize is how good he is at blitz pickup and chipping guys when they need him to, and he is really, really good at it. But then again, on the other side of your mouth, you're taking a playmaker out of the play a little bit. So it's going to be interesting how it works. But I think more of the mental part of it, of him coming back out there and the way he is with that football team, I think is probably the biggest. Elton Jenkins moving down inside is, in my opinion, would be the number one thing. But for that football team to have him step back out of that field, I think it'll give them a little bit of oomph on the offensive side of the ball. Don't you agree?
I completely agree. And I also think that just when they come back, and like you said, you start to be able to run the ball a little bit better, the holes get a little bit wider. Aaron Jones seems week in and week out to be getting a little bit healthier. He's getting that quick step back. That's what I'm saying. I don't know what to make of this team right now, because we haven't seen this team fully together in a long time, or at least as close as it was going to be. And that's without Za'Darius, who I don't think is going to come back this season. But if you can put the defense back together, get Jair back, I'm really anxious to see how good this defense can be.
Especially if, and it's a big if you can get Z Smith on the field in December, boy, you got to feel real good about that. And Jair, if you can get him out there with the maturation, process of Stokes and King, it seems like they kind of got him pigeonholed inside. Those two safeties are playing lights out football right now. It could be really, really good. There's no question about it. I think the key thing is going to be on offense. We saw the jet sweep yesterday from St. Brown. I thought that was a really big play. He got 13 yards only, but more importantly, it got, now you got linebackers thinking. Now you got safeties thinking. Right. Because when they were running jet sweep with Amari Rodgers every couple of times running around, you watched the defense, nobody moved. They thumbed their nose at the jet sweep. So I think there's some of that part of the game that's got to come back, some of the motion stuff. But the problem is, the reality is that, some of those play action pass plays take a little bit longer time to develop. So if you're not really feeling comfortable with your left tackle, maybe you don't run all that stuff. So if Bakhtiari comes back and they get some more comfortability there on the blind side of the quarterback, maybe some of those plays, they start doing some more of that stuff to make defenses move around a little bit, because that's what was so good last year. They got those linebackers and safeties to move around and then get caught in no man's land, and boom, it goes over the top. So I think it'll be interesting to see what happens if they can get all those pieces back on defense, but on offense too. The addition of Bakhtiari, I think, would really bring some added oomph to that defense or offense. Excuse me.
The discussion today coming out of all of this was the fact that Aaron Rodgers obviously says that he'd rather sleep in his own bed, and everybody's making a big deal out of this. How much of a big deal is this, if at all?
I got this in my pocket. I just reached in here and I grabbed it. It's this little teeny tiny violin, and I don't know if you can hear it. Can you hear it right now? I don't care. Who cares?
All right.
I mean, come on. That's the only thing you got to complain about? Jesus, Johnny.
I know.
Oh,
everybody thinks that this is the beginning of the end of the Aaron Rodgers era, because Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to stay in a hotel anymore. It's like, come on.
Everybody does it. It's not a Packers thing, I don't know why they do it. That's a good question. I'll have to ask someone sometime.
All I said was for this thing to be a non-story. If Aaron Rodgers back locked up, I understand it. But to go as far as to call it in the adjective of an antiquated rule, and that's taking kind of a backhanded slap at it, and that's Aaron's way. And in essence, there's no reason to do it. I mean, if he's got a problem with it, go to the coach. There's no reason to throw it out there for everybody to feast on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. Cut your hair, maybe grab a razor once in a while, and go out there and play football. That's all I want my quarterback to do.
Well, apparently he's going to cut his hair after Halloween because he's been growing it out for some costume thing that he's got going on this weekend.
Yeah, do something. That man bun on the State Farm commercials just isn't very appealing. I'm sorry. It's just not. Some guys can make it work, and some guys can't. I agree. Good stuff, man. We'll talk to you next week. All right, thanks a lot. I hope you have a great week. Should be fun. Talk to you. There you go. Eric Baranchak of the Green Bay Press-Gazette joining us for a couple of minutes. And yeah, that's one of the reasons Aaron, I guess, was growing the hair out, is because he has some kind of a costume planned out for this coming weekend. Is after the Thursday night contest and they come back, they get a few days off, which we all know this weekend is Halloween, and they're having a big Halloween party. And the guys are going to get together, and Aaron has some kind of a costume planned, and I'm sure we'll see pictures of it somewhere at some point in time. But nevertheless, that's the reason he said that he's let the hair grow and everything else. So, okay. Speaking of big parties, one is coming up this weekend. We are going to be at Stenny's, Second and National in Walker's Point, the costume contest coming up on Saturday night. Going to be there judging that. Then don't forget, coming to Viroqua, Friday, November 5th, I'm going to be doing the Bill Michaels Show at the Nelson Agri Center from 10 to 2 on Friday, November 5th. And hope to see you around the town. We're going to be doing some stuff after the fact and hanging out there on Friday night and then a little bit on Saturday. And then Saturday, we get over to Prairie du Chien, where we're going to be at Jim's Bar coming up at Prairie du Chien on the 7th, Sunday, November 7th, for a watch party and the Green and Gold postgame show. And then we're back into Milwaukee on November 10th. Tickets are selling pretty good for this event. It is a cigar dinner. It is a dinner
For one price, $55, you get 4 cigars. You also get a really good dinner. And we'll tell you coming up later this week where the dinner is going to be brought into you from, because you're going to be impressed with this. In addition to that, you also get some appetizers. There's going to be some dessert. There's going to be some bourbon tasting, scotch tasting, craft beers to go along with it, kind of a sports Q&A. It's a good night. It's going to be a fun evening. And if you're looking for tickets for this event, all you got to do is either you can go to Eventbrite and Google Copperfield's Cigar Dinner, or you can just find it on Facebook. There's a Facebook page dedicated to it, or just find it over on the Facebook fan page. Go to facebook.com/The Bill Michaels Show. Tickets in Milwaukee are selling fast. There is 15 days left until we get to this event, and I would almost guarantee this is going to sell out. So get your friends together, get your buddies together, get your girls together, whatever it happens to be. If you just enjoy good food, if you enjoy good cigars, if you enjoy good scotches, bourbons, craft brews, whatever, or you just want to come for a good sports Q&A, it's going to be a fun night. Again, all you got to do is go to facebook.com/The Bill Michaels Show, and there's a link there right at the top of the page. You can look up on Eventbrite and find just Copperfield Cigar Dinner, or go to Facebook and just Google it yourself or search it yourself over on Facebook for Copperfield Cigar Dinner, and you can find it there. But tickets are on sale right now. So you want with only a couple before we have. Let's do this. We're going to step away, take a quick break, come back. More of the Bill Michaels.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
I get a good feeling. Yeah. I get a feeling that I never had before. No, I get a good feeling. Yeah. Oh, sometimes I get a good feeling. Yeah.
Welcome back to the program. Bill Michaels Show. We continue on. We're glad to be back. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. The 555 has been extended. And if you were over the weekend and got into the cold weather, down into the 30s, and then the wind is blowing today. It's cool. It's raw. The rains came last night. And if you are sitting there with some bad windows and doors, you know that the leaks in the air coming through, that's not what you want. You don't want that all season long. All you got to do, the 555, 5 years, no interest, 5 months, no first payment, and 5% additionally off the price of the purchase if you buy at the initial consultation from our friends at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. I have been saying for a long time, I love these things. And over the weekend, had some friends come by the house. And I get it all the time because I do the commercials and people are like, do you really have them? You know, yes, I do. Come up to the office here in the studio. Patio door right next to me. Where's the toe kick? There's a toe kick. Kick it over. Okay. Can't open the door. Okay. What about the locks? The locks, you can flip them with a finger. Okay. They work. It's great. The secure as secure gets. Then when the wind is howling, Saturday night it was 38 degrees. Put your hand next to it. You don't feel any cold. That's proof, man. That's it. That's the reason I went with Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. I bought them before I became an endorser. And I believe in them. That's why I became an endorser. They're the best. And they add value to your home. God knows I know that. I've refinanced my house twice, and I've gotten comments on the windows both times from both inspectors. So check out Pella, P-E-L-L-I, PellaWI.com. That is PellaWI.com/radio. Or just call them 855-PELLA-WI. That's 855-PELLA-WI. And get a hold of our girl, Gina Della from Pella over there. And just say, hey, I want the same windows and doors that Bill Michaels has. And you can pick your trim, your hardware, slides, roll screens, all kind of different innovations depending on what you want. And it's got something for everybody's lifestyle. It's that simple. Get a hold of them. Again, PellaWI.com/radio. So I did want to make a mention of this, and I do want to talk a little bit about it. But over the weekend, in case you had not noticed, which some of you have not, because I got asked questions all weekend long. Oh, by the way, did the Badgers win? Yeah, the Badgers win. 30-13. They beat up on a Purdue team that beat up on Iowa. Now Iowa's calling this weekend, homecoming, and I don't know what to expect. But the fact is, the Badgers were able to run the football, play extremely solid defense, and get out of that glorified high school stadium in West Lafayette with a victory. I don't think they've put the train back on the tracks, but if you just keep grinding out wins, you're going to be okay. Clearly hold their own fate in their hands when it comes to the West, the Big Ten West. And even though Ohio State gets a blowout win over Indiana, and you've got Ohio State, and you got Michigan, you got Michigan State, you still have Iowa, who got a win over the weekend, all in the top 10. This is an opportunity. This game this weekend is your opportunity to put a statement on your season to say, look, we went through a rough patch, but we're back. We're climbing out of the hole. If you knock off number 9 Iowa after knocking off finally a top 25 team in Purdue, even though I don't think they really belong there, you finally got a top 25 win. The monkey's off your back a little bit, but you still got to get better play out of your quarterback position. But kudos to the Badgers. I mean, look, Ben, you and I both picked them to lose. I didn't think they were going to win. I thought they were in a downward spiral. I give them all the credit in the world. And do you think they have put the train back on the track out in Madison?
Yeah, I was wrong. I mean, the good things coming out that make you think the train's back on the tracks is that the offensive line had their best run blocking day of the year. And you could see when they do that, Graham Mertz only needed to throw the ball 8 times. So when that side of the ball can at least do that, you're not going to be subject to mistakes and turnovers like they have been. And then on defense, I mean, they're arguably the best defense in the country. Finally, those turned into turnovers. So I don't know if the train is fully back on the tracks, but all of the signs coming out are positive ones.
I felt good about that game after I didn't get I'll be honest, I didn't get a chance to watch it live. So I DVR'd it and I went back and watched it yesterday morning, and I was impressed. Again, like the defense, you stated defensively, they're one of the top defenses in the country. They just get after it and do it in many different facets. But offensively, it wasn't beautiful. It wasn't this picture perfect day, but it was enough to say, okay, you could see the offensive line begin to exert their presence and to say, okay, we can be dominant at times and do just enough to open up some holes, to get themselves some rushing yards, to be able to kind of really dictate the pace of the game. And that's what they did. That's what Wisconsin does. You'd like to see more specialty wide receivers and players and special players and guys that Graham Mertz can get the ball to, and Graham Mertz to be better in his delivery. You'd like to see all of that. But at least this team's beginning to win. They put together some back-to-back wins. They've been able to get the job done. So happy with the Badgers. Look, kudos. I was wrong. I thought they'd get beat. I thought this was a season on the brink of complete catastrophe. I thought if they got beat by Purdue, it was going to continue to spiral out of control. But now, now this is huge. Now, this past week, big game. Now's your biggest game. Because if you can knock off number 9 Iowa, then you can kind of kick open the door to say, okay, we're back. We stumbled. We looked bad doing it. We're not going to be in the Final Four this year. We can still represent the Big Ten and somewhere get ourselves a better bowl game, salvage the season. This is where you're going to do it. Coming up against Iowa this coming weekend at Cam Randall. Big, big game. And we're going to preview this more down the road, but kudos to the Badgers for getting a win. Kudos to Paul Chryst and company, because God knows they've taken a beating over the last couple of weeks. But good for them to get the win. Solid victory and to come back, and now you get ready for Iowa. A lot of optimism there. And KW says the same thing. So Jim Leonard be elevated to head coach before he's offered some big job like LSU. Look, he was offered a big job. He's offered to be the defensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers. I don't know what's bigger, being the defensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers or being the head coach of LSU. Being offered a job here in this state for one of the most storied franchises in all of football, the Green Bay Packers. I think it's a big deal, and he turned it down. Wink, wink, nod, nod. He could become the next head coach of the Badgers at some point if Paul Chryst decides to call it a career, or God forbid things spiral out of control. Then he could take it over. I think there's a guarantee there. I don't think he's going to want to. I think the Packers are a bigger job, and he turned that down. And I honestly, look, if he turned down the Packers to take the LSU job, it would almost be somewhat disappointing. I mean, good for him if he gets a head coaching job. Don't get me wrong. But it would almost be somewhat disappointing that he was the coach of the Badgers, turned down the Packers only to go to LSU. No, I don't see it happening. 877-867-1670. Hit us up. Hey, Paul Roberts and Roberts Specialty Meats. I want to say this. I've got a little bit of an announcement for Jim's Bar in Prairie du Chien when we come back. But it's going to revolve around our good buddy Paul Roberts and Roberts Specialty Meats. We're not coming to Prairie du Chien empty-handed, my friends. We're not. As time closes in on November 7th, we're trying to stack some fun and bring some things with us. And, wink, wink, nod, nod. There you go. That's all I'm telling you right now. Hang in there. Stay tuned. A lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
5 years, no interest, Wayne Larrabee.
5 months, no first payment, Leroy Butler.
5 years, no interest.
5 months, no first payment.
Hey guys, why not both?
Gina Della from Pella?
Now, Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin offers you up to 5 years, no interest, 5 months, no first payment, plus up to 5% same-day order savings.
You mean?
Yep. 555's been extended through October 31st, so you can buy now and be all nice and cozy when those chilly winds blow. Plus, get up to 5% same-day order savings at your initial consultation.
You know, Leroy, I had Pella Lifestyle Series windows installed at the Larrabee house, and we just love them. No more drafts.
Pella windows are backed by some of the best warranties in the business.
Come on, guys. What do you say?
5 years, no interest, Leroy.
5 months, no first payment, Wayne.
Even up to 5% same-day order savings at your initial consultation. But only through October 31st. Set your free consultation now
at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details.
They don't repair cracked helmets, cracked teeth, or cracked stadium seats. They do repair cracked windshields. Complete Auto Glass, windshield repair and replacement, windshield camera recalibration, and more. An insurance-preferred service provider with free price quotes and a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Plus, you'll be happy to know you're dealing with a local, family-owned business who understand their Wisconsin neighbors. Complete Auto Glass, repair and replacement. Visit CompleteAutoGlass.com. Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome. Bill Michaels Show. We continue on this Monday, Green and Gold Monday, and we're glad to have you. So, coming to Prairie du Chien. Coming to Prairie du Chien on November 7th. One of the things that I was saying before we went to break is we're working out a few things where we're going to bring some stuff with us. One of the things we're going to bring with us, Paul Roberts from Roberts Specialty Meats in Waukesha. He's got family in that area. And he loves the fact that we're going there, and Prairie du Chien over on the Minnesota border, wildly recognized as more of a Minnesota area than a Wisconsinite area. So this Jim's Bar is a Packers bar through and through. So we're going to bring some ribs on a stick with us. If the guys at Jim's, guy and girls at Jim's Bar can fire up the grill, we're bringing some ribs on a stick. Now they're going to be available while they last, but we're going to bring some food with it. When you have a party and throw a party, you got to have food, right? So we're going to bring some food with us. So we're still working on some other things. But if you can bring some food, we're bringing some food. So we thought this would be a great way to do it. So we're going to bring, I don't know how many pounds of ribs on a stick we're going to bring, but we're going to bring enough for about 75 to 100 people. Now, I know there's going to be more people there than that, but we're going to bring at least for everybody to try, right? That's what you do. So we're going to bring it. We're going to bring some ribs on a stick with us. It's going to be a whole lot of barbecuing going on. So hopefully the people out at Jim's, if you're listening, you got a big ass grill out back. Oh, it's going to be good. Give me a fantastic time. Can't wait. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, feel free to go ahead and do so. Again, 877-867-1670 as we continue on. So the Packers get a win, and now they've got a quick turnaround. Joe Barry, for those just tuning in, will not be making the trip. The defensive coordinator of the Green Bay Packers has tested positive. By the way, another positive test, this time out of Chicago. Matt Nagy, the head coach of the Bears, has said he's tested positive. This might be a way for him just to say, I got to step away. I got to, yeah. But Matt Nagy tested positive, so he's got to go into the concussion protocol. Or the COVID protocol. So he has also tested positive after the weekend. But yeah, Joe Barry, defensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers, has tested positive, and he will not be making the trip, most likely, to Arizona. Jack says, great listening to you today. I was going to go flying with my son, but we got grounded because of the wind in a small plane. So we're sitting around the airport and listening to the show. What airport? Where are you at? Because I know the winds coming out of the northeast are pretty brisk today, as a matter of fact, and gusting up to 40-something miles an hour. But I'm not quite sure if that's just on the eastern side of the state of Wisconsin or if it's all over the state of Wisconsin. Because I know, like, Sheboygan is 40 miles an hour. I know down in Kenosha, it was 51 miles an hour. I was seeing some of the peak wind gusts a little bit earlier today. So it's been pretty sustained here where I live, but I don't know if it's the same, say, in Madison or out in the western portion of the state of Wisconsin. Depends on where our signal goes. He says up in Mosinee. Okay, the Mosinee Airport. Windy up there, too. There you go. 877-867-1670. Jeff writes an email inbox. He says, great show as always. Love listening to you guys break down the Packers win. I agree. The Packers have not played their best football, and yet they're 6-1. We should be incredibly optimistic and not looking at all the wide open flaws of this team. Well, Jeff, here's the thing. They're beating decent teams. They beat Cincinnati. Cincinnati then turns around and beats one of the better teams in the AFC, and that being Baltimore, and Cincinnati did it in a handy fashion. And they did it on the road while the Packers got their win on the road in Cincinnati. You can go on and on and on. Okay. I did not think that Cincinnati would be one of their better wins this season, but so far it is. Okay. They get a nice win in Chicago. They get a nice win against Pittsburgh. They get a kind of the monkey off of their back by going in and getting a walk-off field goal, if you remember, against San Francisco. But this game coming up, when you talk about flaws, the Packers are 6-1 as a flawed football team. Now, every team has flaws. It just depends on how wide open the flaws are, okay? So I agree with you in the sense of optimism. You keep the optimism when you're sitting at 6-1 and you haven't played your best football yet. However, you are about to play what many consider to be the team right now. And record would tell you that in the National Football League. But a team with multiple weapons offensively, with a good defense that's led by really good veteran players. Now, they're not the best defense in the National Football League, okay? Not by any stretch. But when you look at overall, I mean, believe it or not, defensively speaking, against the pass, the Eagles are pretty good. Against the run, when you talk about yards per carry, the Saints are pretty good. The Browns are pretty good. The Buccaneers, the Patriots, the Jaguars, on down. Cincinnati's pretty good. You got to go pretty far down the list to see yards per carry on average to find the Packers, because they're giving up 4.9 yards per carry, defensively speaking. That's almost last in the National Football League. But overall yardage, yards per game, you know, the Packers are doing extremely well, defensively speaking. And when you get into all the next-gen stats and everything, you look at, you know, the Packers and teams and all that kind of stuff. I mean, there's so many things you can go through. But the Packers, statistically speaking, are playing some pretty good football right now. But there are flaws. I don't want to sit here and go, man, they're a great football team. They don't have any flaws, because they do have flaws. But this is where a team like Arizona has the ability to exploit your flaws. They have a running quarterback, a good run game, a good tight end, good wide receiving core, decent offensive line, and a defense that can get after it. So now we're going to find out just how good the Packers are and just how big their flaws are. And then we'll go from there. I think also you have to give the nod to Matt LaFleur as opposed to Cliff Kingsbury when it comes to, you know, drawing up the game plan, because Matt LaFleur's been pretty good at it. But now you also have to throw into the fact that your defensive coordinator is not going to be there. So yet another hiccup in the road. You've been missing Jair. You've been missing Kevin King. You've been missing Preston. You've been missing Zedarius. You've got numerous injuries. So we'll see. If the Packers get a win in this game, this by far will be the most impressive win of the season. But it will be even more so impressive depending on the people they don't have in the lineup. You see what I'm saying? So I'm fired up. I'm looking forward to Thursday night. But I've said all along, you know, it may be frustrating, but let's say they lose this game 24-21, 21-20, 24-20, something like that. That, to me, depending on how things go along, if you just look at the final score, that might be a little bit of a moral victory, because you can pull some things out of a loss that maybe you couldn't do if they just go in and continually roll over everybody. If you have to look, but again, if they do beat Arizona, will be a hell of a win, without a doubt. But if they lose, it's depending on how they lose. Do they get exploited and just chewed up, you know, to the point where the defense can't stop anybody? They're terrible in the red zone again. They don't have enough ability to cover. They don't put pressure on the quarterback. Kyler Murray runs wild. He scrambles. He gets all over the place. They're not setting the edge. All those things that we've complained about. Or do they play a really, really solid game? They just come out on the short end of the stick. There's a lot of ifs and buts there. So we'll find out more coming up on Thursday night, but I'm excited for it. I'm ready. I'm already ready for it, even though the bodies of the players aren't ready just yet. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show next. Oh, now lift.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, in Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers beat Washington 24-10. Aaron Rodgers with 3 touchdown passes, one to Davante Adams, another to Allen Lazard, and a third to tight end Robert Tonyan.
Green Bay trying to take advantage of the takeaway. Into the end zone, tight end, touchdown, Tonyan. Happy tight end's day.
The NFL on Fox, Tonyan, after the game.
I thought the safety was going to be outside leverage me. I was still thinking it was going to be a good opportunity to get the ball. And then I went vertical, and then I saw the linebacker attach me inside, and I was like, this is the perfect look. So I was hoping the ball was going to be in there when I turned, and it was, and could throw.
Washington racked up 430 yards of offense, but went 0 for 4 in the red zone. Quarterback Taylor Heineke.
We need to find ways to finish drives as an offense. We're leaving a lot of points out there on the field, and it's something that we're all frustrated with, and we all want to change, and we need to figure it out.
Aaron Rodgers says he didn't get a good night's sleep the night before the game and said it's time to do away with putting the home team up in a hotel.
I woke up this morning and my back was killing me. It was all locked up, and I came in here early, and I don't want to blame it on the hotel. It's a nice hotel, but my bed at the house would probably be a little bit of a better option, I think.
What does Matt LaFleur think?
Well, Coach Rodgers and I will have a discussion after this, I'm sure.
That's Packers head coach Matt LaFleur. In Green Bay, I'm Mike Clemens on the Bill Michaels Show.
You got to hit it, bang it,
That's the discussion coming out of the contest. Aaron Rodgers, we should stay at home. That's okay. That's okay. Nothing's going to change. Don't panic. Don't freak. Nothing's going to change. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Coming up later on in the program, Mike Clemens himself is going to be here. By the way, Mike Clemens brought to you by the Bay Motel in Green Bay. The Bay Motel, quiet, cozy, comfortable, and it's where Mike loves to hang. And the Bay Family Restaurant, absolutely awesome. And they take care of Mike. They can take care of you. Great home-style cooking 7 days a week. The Bay Motel, South Military Avenue in Green Bay. Call in today for reservations, 920-494-3441, 920-494-3441, or go online at baymotelgreenbay.com. That is baymotelgreenbay.com. Jesse says, who do you see being the AFC representative this year? It has become topsy-turvy. I still think if you had to look at what team is going to be that team in the AFC, I'd probably go with Buffalo at this point. I think Buffalo is probably a safe bet. Although, look, Tennessee is playing some good football and sitting at 5-2. Buffalo sitting at 4-2. The Raiders, I think the Raiders record might be a little bit better than what they are. Certainly Cincinnati, that win yesterday was impressive. The fact that they took the Packers to, they had numerous chances to win that game, and they like Mason Crosby, it just took a kicker to make a kick, and Mason Crosby made it, and their kicker didn't. So they were kind of a kick away from winning that contest. Otherwise, they'd be sitting at 6-1 right now with the best record in the AFC. As it is, they're sitting at 5-2 atop the division. The Steelers only a couple of games back. Cleveland a game back at 4-3. Baltimore sitting at 5-2, but because of the tiebreaker. Then you got the Raiders, and the Chargers were off this week, but the Raiders on top of that division, the Kansas City Chiefs under 500 for the first time since 2015, if I read that correctly, 15 or 17, but sitting at 3-4 after the ugly day they had yesterday. The Chiefs at 3-4. But right now, if I had to take what I consider to be the best team in the AFC, I'm probably going to go with Buffalo. Buffalo right now in the AFC. After that, you can kind of toss a coin in the air. I still think Baltimore, Harbaugh, better coach. I give them the nod at 5-2, or at 5-2. I would probably have to go Chargers after that, and then maybe Cincinnati, then Las Vegas and Tennessee. You probably have to throw Tennessee into the mix higher than that. I'm forgetting about them. But that's if you're going to force me to pick the hierarchy of the AFC, that's kind of the direction I'm going to go. And the NFC, look, right now they're 7-0. The Arizona Cardinals, they are head and shoulders above everybody else. Now, whether or not the Packers bring them back down to earth on Thursday, we'll wait and see. Certainly the Packers sitting at 6-1, the Rams sitting at 6-1, finally with Matthew Stafford. I mean, you cannot count out what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and what Tom Brady are doing. Look, Tom Brady is playing at just this lights out level right now. He's as accurate as I can ever remember him being. And that even goes back to the year that they had Randy Moss, that they went 16-0 and ended up ultimately losing in the Super Bowl to Eli Manning and the New York Giants. But I just, look, it's amazing. It's amazing that what they're doing with Tom Brady and company. Tom Brady, that touchdown pass, that no-look, soft lob, dropping it into the bucket was amazing. Now, yes, you're right, Ben. He did have a career high yesterday, 6 straight incompletions. I agree. But
that's just a ridiculous nugget that he's never had more.
Exactly. And that's just amazing in the sense that Tom Brady has been that good. And Tom Brady doesn't get nearly enough credit for being just a good quarterback. The guy just knows how to win. He knows how to put it all together to win. And sometimes having that intangible beats all the other intangibles from some of the other quarterbacks that have played the game. But Brady's just good. And again, this is another reason in which you can look forward and say, how many years left do you have of Aaron Rodgers? If Aaron Rodgers continues to follow Tom Brady down that path in the same way he wants to take care of his body, do the offseason workouts, have different control and different say and this and that, whether it's here or somewhere else, I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to be done with his career until he's probably 43, 44, 45 years old. I just don't. Couple of hours yet to go. 2 hours down, 2 hours to go. Mike Clemens in the final hour of the program. We're going to hear some more from inside the Packers locker room coming up, and also the Washington side of things after yesterday's contest. Don't forget, they had a controversial review that Taylor Heineke did not break the plane on the goal line. Get a little bit into that discussion. Stay tuned. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Skipper Buds. Say hi to everybody at Skipper Buds out in Pewaukee. Great place to go if you're looking for a boat, you're looking for storage, whatever it happens to be. Todd and the gang are fantastic. Tell them I sent you. All you got to do is call 262-544-1200. That's 262-544-1200. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Packers going to be back in the field for the final time this week later today as they continue to prep for a visit from Washington. That includes new outside linebacker Whitney Merciless. He went through his first practice yesterday since signing with the club. After playing his entire 10-year career with Houston, Merciless chose the Packers over Kansas City, Pittsburgh, and others. He even took less money to sign with Green Bay.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. By much, it wasn't really that much or whatnot, but it's not even about the money at this point. It's more so trying to get a championship. I'm trying to contribute as much as I can. Year 10 for guys like me on the back half of the career and all that. Best option that I thought was coming here with the winning mentality, and definitely sense that here. And I just want to be a dog and add to that.
It's unclear if Merciless will be available for Sunday. Packers might need him as linebacker Preston Smith missed practice for a second straight day yesterday with an oblique injury. The good news, though, safety Darnell Savage returned. He's coming off a concussion. Cornerback Kevin King also practiced yesterday for a second straight day. Kick on Sunday is coming at noon. Turning to the Badgers, they're going to head to West Lafayette today. It's where they'll take on number 25 Purdue tomorrow. Wisconsin's beat the Boilermakers 14 straight times. Their last win was in 2003. Kick is set for 2 o'clock.
Want to save even more at Fleet Farm? Well, now you can with Fleet Rewards. It's free to sign up, and there's no credit card required. Using Fleet Rewards easy. Earn points every time you shop. Plus, get exclusive member offers, birthday and anniversary perks, free tire rotations, and more. Download the Fleet Farm app or create an account at fleetfarm.com/rewards to start earning points today. Fleet Farm, proudly serving the Midwest since 1955.
Well, the Bucs were blown out in Miami last night, 137-95. Wisconsin native Tyler Hero had 27 points for the Heat. Milwaukee paced by Giannis Antetokounmpo's 15 points. Milwaukee will be in San Antonio tomorrow. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil-Pritt.
Welcome back. How are we looking? Bill Michaels Show. Continuing on this Monday, this green and gold Monday, and Bucs over the weekend, they got just drilled by the Miami Heat, and then they bounce back and get the win over San Antonio. So the Bucs sitting at 2-1 on the season. Bucs taking on the Pacers coming up later on tonight in Indiana. That's a 6 o'clock start time this evening. And then you got a full slate of games tonight, as a matter of fact, throughout the NBA. But the Bucs get a 121-111 win over the Spurs in San Antonio on Saturday night. Giannis dropping 21, 8 rebounds, 8 assists in that contest. And they bounce back after that, like I said, ugly performance against the Miami Heat, but the Bucs continue on. So there you go. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Now, Ron Rivera, after the game yesterday, because some, say, look, hey, the Packers got gifted a non-touchdown when Heineke decided to go down at the goal line and did not have the ball cross the plane when his knee was hitting the ground, and then got stopped. Ron Rivera of Washington talked about the controversial review.
Well, that was disappointing. I mean, the interpretation is gave himself up. Okay. So to me, when he dove and stretched, that didn't look like he was giving himself up. Go from there.
Now, if he's giving himself up voluntarily, you still have to have the football cross the plane. And if the knee and the ball hit prior to the goal line, the rule is that you have technically not crossed. Even though you're giving yourself up, you've technically not crossed. And therefore, you are down right there at that point. Now, as part of the problem, I don't understand why he just didn't run it in the end zone. He could have just ran it in. It was, I don't know why you're taking a dive at the goal line, but it is what it is. And Rivera says, despite being 2-5, there is a little bit of improvement on this team.
I'm seeing the growth that we're looking for. I love the fight in these guys today. There's no quit. They played hard, and that's all you can ask for as a coach.
Now, here's one statistic that you would enjoy, even though it is a little bit tainted by, again, the Washington quarterback taking the dive at the goal line. The fact that in the red zone, and they racked up 430 yards of total offense, the Packers defense was 4 for 4 at keeping the Washington football team out of the end zone. Here's quarterback Tyler.
We need offense. We're putting we're leaving a lot of points out there on the field, and it's something that we're all frustrated with, and we all want to change, and we need to figure it out.
Also, he was asked, he felt that he crossed the goal line on the quarterback sneak.
I don't want to get into specifics, but I felt like I was in there both times. I mean, I don't want to get fined up here, so I'm not going to get into specifics about that, but I felt like I got in both times. And then the other time, I just missed Ricky there in the back of the end zone. So it was tough. I thought we did well, though. We didn't punt the ball once. We moved the ball on them. We just couldn't finish in the red zone.
And then they are slipping down when it comes to relevance in that NFC East. And the defensive tackle, Jonathan Allen, he said, hey, look, we're sitting here at 2-5 on the season now.
Week after week, the most frustrating part is us just letting little things slip through our cracks that affect the game. I'm not going to say we should have won, we should have done this, but there's so many opportunities that we're leaving on this field. And we're such a better football team than what our record says. But at the end of the day, you can only go by what we've done. So we're at 2-5, and that's just who we are. Losing teams find ways to lose games, and winning teams find ways to win games. And right now, we're finding ways to lose. So we just have to find ways to win.
And that's it. And that's one of the things about the Packers, and which is a really solid statement, and saying, look, losing teams find ways to lose. Winning teams find ways to win. And that's what the Packers are doing, despite having, or in spite of having, numerous injuries, numerous problems. I like this one's from Dave, who says, what do you think about the Packers secondary and the way they've been playing, specifically the safety position? I'll tell you this, Darnell Savage Jr. and Adrian Amos, they're just solid. They're just solid. Shannon Sullivan's been playing extremely well, too. Now, Yadam has not necessarily been everything that you were hoping for, and Rasul Douglas has had his moments and stabilized things. Eric Stokes is interesting because he does make some rookie mistakes, but then he's got one of those memories. It's like, okay, it's gone, it's done. Just back at it. And he's played well. I like the way he's come in and played. I'm excited about when this team gets back to, at least secondary wise, full strength. When King is back, when Stokes is ready, when Jair is back, with Darnell Savage Jr., with Adrian Amos, with the backups of Rasul Douglas, Shannon Sullivan coming in the nickel. I mean, I like this secondary. I really do. So I don't know how good this defense can be, but in my opinion, they can be really good. Just to see if it all comes together as the season winds down. And think about this, and because Jack says, well, there's just too many injuries, they're never going to be that great. Jack, here's the thing. If these guys get healthy, you'd rather have all of these injuries now than at the end of the season. Remember, to go deep into the postseason, you got to be good. You got to be healthy. You got to get lucky, and you got to be hot, right? So if we know this team's good. How good they can be, I don't know, because we haven't seen everybody together. But let's just say they get healthy, little bit of luck. How good is this team healthy, a little bit of luck, and how good are they? And then how hot can they get at the end of the season? Because we don't know yet. You get Bakhtiari back. Let's say you get a few of these guys back, that have been the IR guys, and they are able to come back. And suddenly, say that game against, I don't know, December 12th or December 19th, something like that, either against Chicago or against Baltimore. And so you get 3-4 games to get everybody healthy, to get everybody on the same page, and you start to hit the ground running. You're playing your style of football in the weather, because you think about this. You have the 2 games to end the season, January 2nd, January 9th. Both of those games are in cold weather. I take that back. The November 21st game against Minnesota is in a dome. The January 2nd game is at Lambeau, cold weather. Cleveland is coming to town on December 25th, cold weather. December 19th, cold weather, that's Baltimore. Baltimore can get pretty nasty at times too. December 12th at Lambeau Field, cold weather. You're going to be outside a lot. That's kind of Packer football. They have the ability to run the ball. They've got a big offensive line. They've got 2 really solid running backs, good tight end play. And then you end in the dome in January. So in the few years ago, when this team was, most of their games to end the season were either in a dome or on the road. So you weren't worrying about the elements. And then when they did play at Lambeau Field, you weren't getting these terrible snow games or anything. They didn't have really inclement weather until January. We'll wait and see. But they end with a lot of their style of play, their style of weather. So we'll see what they do. But I'd like to see the last 3-4 games, see this whole thing come back together and see this team go from there. 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, give us a call. Phone lines are wide open. The phone calls have been nil today. Now, granted, we've had some people there, but we haven't taken them at the right time. We had people call in earlier, but nevertheless, phone lines are wide open. If you want to chime in, feel free to go ahead and do so. Got a lot of people that have emailed today, too. I don't want to kind of ignore you because we've had a lot of people chime in. This one is from Sam. Sam says, love the enthusiasm of the program. He said, I think everybody is out over their skis. This team is good, but they're not that good. They don't compare to what Arizona and LA are putting up. I think they do with LA. I don't think right now, with the weaponry that Arizona has, and as deep as they've been, and as injury-free as they've been, that the Packers are kind of on that equal footing right now. That's why Thursday's a big game. I think everybody that pays attention to football is looking at Thursday's game to say, because if you had to pick the top 3 teams in the NFC, okay, and again, I know it's kind of hypothetical here. Arizona, I think, is number 1, 2, or 3, depending on where you want to put them. I think Tampa Bay is 1, 2, or 3, and LA is probably 1, 2, or 3. What you're waiting for is this Packers team, who has flaws. You're waiting for that showing. You're waiting for that showing to see what they're going to do. If they get a win, they certainly vault up into the top 2 or 3. If they lose and lose ugly, they're 5 or 6, because you're not counting out Dallas at this point, who's sitting at 5-1 as well. But Dallas is playing in a really crappy division where everybody behind Dallas is sitting at 2-5 right now. So where do the Packers rank? That's why this game coming up on Thursday night, as far as perception goes, is important. Andrew says, make sure to take the River Drive from Prairie du Chien north to La Crosse. Outstanding bluff and river views. On a bike, it's even better. Well, we're going to be in November, and we're going to have the RV. So we'll be out there in the cruiser. But I hear it's beautiful. And it's part of the the Mississippi River Run, isn't it? For those that ride motorcycles. I'd love to get back out there that time of year during the summer months and be able to ride it. I agree with you. Mark says the quarterback rules go both ways. Once a quarterback gives himself up, it's where he slides. He doesn't get forward progress on the slide, so why would you give him forward progress into the end zone? Correct. Completely agree. Why would you give him that progress? He went down. He was a half yard short. Okay. Then he had another chance to put the ball in the end zone. You couldn't do it. Give the Packers credit, at least for stymieing them there, because they did stop the forward progress. And it did change the tide of the game. That I agree with as well. I think more so the Rashawn Gary hit and Dean Lowry interception thereafter, which gave the Packers the ability to score and then score again in the second half. That, to me, was probably the turning point of the game. But I'll agree that stop seemed to ignite the Packers defensively to say, okay, we can do this. Because then you saw them play with a different tenacity. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. Jason says, hey, Bill, big win by the Packers, but I think they get blown out on Thursday night. I hope I'm wrong. The Badgers look good, but I think they're going to get blown out on Saturday. And didn't you just know that they were going to put Alabama back in the top 4? I completely agree. We all knew that was coming. Didn't we? We all knew that eventually they were going to put Alabama back in some way, shape, or form. Ohio State, a huge win over the weekend. They just beat the hell out of Indiana, and they stay the same. Alabama gets the win over the weekend, and they move up a spot, so they go from number 4 to number 3. Oklahoma flip-flop with Alabama. I think what the committee wants, they would love to see now, eventually, Alabama and Georgia are going to face each other in the SEC championship, and one of those two teams most likely gets knocked out of the top spot. And if it's Georgia gets beat and they go to 7-1, then you got to make a decision, because depending on what happens to Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship as well. But I digress. Ohio State wins out. They're going to find their way in. What do you do if Cincinnati continues to win out? Their strength of schedule is like 80th in the country. But they've done enough to be there. And they've been considered for this top spot, or at least top 4 in the country for quite some time. And Luke Fickell, who's their head coach, has a ton of respect from the coaching community. So that's part of the reason they're right there. But I think what they're hoping is Cincinnati falters and just gets flukily beat somewhere. That way they can have Georgia, Alabama, Oklahoma, and Ohio State. Then you're talking about big markets, big teams, and don't forget, Ohio State and Michigan are on a collision course to the end of the season. Is this the year that finally Michigan can knock off Ohio State? Because Michigan right now barking at the heels of the Buckeyes. But we all knew they're going to, Alabama got beat, and they got beat in a weird way. But nevertheless, quite handily, I might add. It wasn't even that much of a contest. They just got beat. But they are waiting for Cincinnati to falter. We all know that. No doubt. They want Alabama there. The committee wants Alabama there. This becomes less of an issue if you're taking 8 or 12 teams. We're still going to complain about number 13, 14, 15, whether or not they should be or shouldn't be in. I mean, Oklahoma State falls out. They fell 7 spaces this week. But that was not the largest fall from grace. The largest fall from grace was number 7 in the country, Penn State, who fell to number 20. They fell to number 20 after getting beat in multiple overtimes by Illinois and Brett Bielema. And they got beat in Happy Valley. They fell 13 spots. 13 spots. Fell out of the top 10 and damn near out of the top 20. 877-867-1670. Going to go ahead and take a quick break. Stay tuned. Got more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blick. This is Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
I didn't want you to hear me in your call, so I
just... Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Quick Trip. Top tier alternative fuels. Great place. And get in there as often as I can. Just because not only is it quick and convenient, but I love the place. It's good stuff. Whether it's hot food, cold food, beverages, milk, bread, eggs, whatever it happens to be, our good friends at Quick Trip. They have got you covered, and they are the official fuel provider and convenience store sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. So thanks to our friends over there at Quick Trip. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, and comments coming out of the game, good, bad, ugly, coming out of yesterday's contest between the Packers and the Washington football team. KW says if Bama wins the SEC championship, they are in with a one-loss Georgia team. Cincinnati would then be out. I don't know how you can have, if Alabama beats Georgia, and it would pretty much depend on Oklahoma. If Oklahoma wins, they're in. If what would really throw a monkey wrench in this is this. If Georgia loses to Alabama, now forcing Alabama in at one loss is, to me, is wrong. Okay? But if Alabama beats Georgia, there's no way you can drop Alabama because they have one loss. There's no way you're going to have Georgia drop because they have one loss. Oklahoma, let's say Oklahoma wins, and God forbid, Michigan goes on to an undefeated season, beats Ohio State, and wins the East. You would have a 7-0 Michigan team, an undefeated Michigan team, an undefeated Oklahoma team, a one-loss Georgia, a one-loss Alabama, and say Cincinnati rolls the table, an undefeated Cincinnati team. What do you do? Now, Cincinnati's been number 2 in the country for a while now, and in the top 4. Do you just bounce them, or is this the year that you finally give a team like that's an outside of the Power 5 conference a legitimate shot at getting there? I think it would be a travesty not to, but I understand. But the problem I have with this is you're forcing Alabama into the top 4 because it's Alabama. Right now, in all honesty, you should probably have Georgia, Cincinnati, Oklahoma, and Michigan. Those should be your top teams right now. Ohio State and Alabama should be 5 and 6. They should not be in the top 4. And if teams in the top 4 do not lose, they should not be bounced. Because all they're doing is winning the schedule that was put forth. That's it. But this committee feels compelled to put Alabama back into the top 4, even with one blemish on their record. And that's what's thrown the monkey. It's not that Georgia or Cincinnati or Oklahoma or Michigan have done anything wrong. It's that there is this compulsion to make sure that Ohio State and Alabama are there. Now, again, Ohio State and Michigan are going to kind of work this thing out, because if Ohio State wins and then wins the West, they're going to be there, where Michigan would then falter. But again, you're talking about a one-loss team. That's it. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. So you've got the AP Top 25, you've got the coaches poll, and then it's going to be that BCS poll, right, Ben? And that's the way to the college football championship poll that starts.
Those the rankings start next week, so even Bama getting back in the top 4 now, that's kind of separate from what the college football playoff committee will decide. I think it starts this weekend.
Yeah, they forced the AP writers and the coaches poll, but they have forced Alabama back in because that's what they want, in my opinion. Once you got a blemish, teams that are undefeated above you, they've done everything they can to beat the teams on their schedule. I don't have a problem with Bama being on the outside looking in.
Well, they swapped Bama and Oklahoma because Oklahoma went to Kansas, who is the 3rd worst team in the country, in front of UConn and UMass, and they had trouble and they almost lost.
Right.
So that makes sense.
But Bama lost to Texas A&M.
Who's a good team.
Who's not a bad team, but they lost to Texas A&M. They gave up 41 to Texas A&M. And what do they have left on the docket? They've got LSU, which is foundering at this point. New Mexico State, which, again, I don't agree with putting these lesser teams, these lesser opponents on your schedule at the end of the season. Then a bad Arkansas, and then they finally get to Auburn, who's ranked number 18 in the country. And who knows, maybe at that point, because they have to go on the road this year in the Iron Bowl to Auburn. So maybe it's a moot point because maybe they lose to Auburn at that point. Or if Auburn continues to climb, then it would be more so of I guess I don't want to call it a legitimate win, but it would be more so that way. But they barely beat a number 11 Florida team in Tallahassee, 31-29. So their big win was over a 14th ranked Miami to start the season, 44-13. And Miami, they're good, but they're not 14th ranked good. That's like saying you beat Wisconsin early this year. Who cares? Wisconsin was ranked number 10, but it doesn't mean you beat a true top 10 team. They're nowhere near that close. That's why preseason rankings suck. And I'm glad they do the college football rankings, but they do take a lot of consideration when it comes to the AP and the coaches poll. Anyway, I digress. I think they want Alabama to be there, and that's why I think it sucks. Just my opinion. 877-867-16. Same with Ohio State. Ohio State got beat. Their loss was to Oregon. And not only did they get beat, they got beat at home, and their secondary sucks, and they couldn't stop anybody. Now they beat the hell out of Maryland, which Maryland we know is not good. They beat the hell out of Rutgers, which we know Rutgers is not good. They beat the hell out of Arkansas, which we know Arkansas is not good. Since they got beat, they've been blowing teams out. And then this weekend, knocking off Indiana, they did it in fine fashion because they have scored since they got beat by Oregon. They put up 41, 59, 52, 66, and 54. Now, if they go and beat Penn State 50-something to 17 this weekend, I'll be even more of a believer in Ohio State that they fixed all their secondary problems. We'll wait and see. But Penn State's reeling a little bit right now. But they still have, at the end of their season, they've still got number 8 Michigan State, at the shoe, and then they've got to travel to Ann Arbor. If they get a win in Ann Arbor, then they belong there. But this might be the year that Michigan gets them. So wait and see. 877-8676. I got way off on a tangent there. Let's do this. We'll step away. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. It's coming up next.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Don't forget Mike. We'll talk with him. Some news coming out of Green Bay is the fact not only did they get a win yesterday and they're getting ready for Arizona, but defensive coordinator Joe Barry tested positive for COVID. So he most likely will not be, and I don't know what his vaccination status is, but most likely will not be with the team unless, of course, he goes back-to-back in a 24-hour period of, say, false tests, and therefore he tests negative for COVID. But as of right now, he goes into the protocol. So most likely he will not be with the team. That would most likely then leave defensive backs passing game coordinator Jerry Gray to call the defense, unless you go, say, I don't know, Kirk Olivadotti, Jerry Montgomery, something like that. So I would assume Mike Smith, the outside linebackers coach, but I would assume that Jerry Gray would then be the defensive play caller and setting things up. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. And coming out of the game last night, Mark says, is this Rashawn Gary finally starting to live up to the expectation? Rashawn Gary, when you say that, for where he was chosen, yeah, you know what? But let's be honest, okay? Let's take away the draft choice. When he was drafted, the position would dictate that you are a high-end pass rusher, right? Okay. But he was never that guy in college. Those expectations had to be tempered from the time he was drafted to where he is today, because he's never going to be this. He's not Reggie White. He's not J.J. Watt. He's not T.J. Watt. He's not that. He's a guy that's going to give you a bull rush, stay in his lane. He's going to be consistent. He is going to give you some pressure. He is going to give you the ability to get to the quarterback, but not with this prolificness that people kind of want to put the label on him. He's not going to do that. He's not that guy. But for what he is, yes, he is starting to come on and play really well. But if he was a second-round draft choice, you'd be saying, man, what a pickup. This guy's been solid. But because it's like an A.J. Hawk syndrome. Because of the draft position, there's a different level of expectation there. And I understand it, but now you have to look at the reality of what the player is. Throw the draft choice out the window. Just look at what the player is. And what he is a good, stable lineman, a good, stable rush guy that's going to, as far as the defense goes, you have to account for that guy. That's what he is. 877-867-1670. Phone number. Call in. Hit us up on Twitter. Many of you have today. I'll get to that coming up here. At Bill_Michaels. Facebook, The Bill Michaels Show. Over on Facebook, The Bill Michaels Show. YouTube, Twitch. Email the program, thebillmichaels@gmail.com. thebillmichaels@gmail.com. By the way, The talk about Deshaun Watson, he's got a no trade clause in his contract, which, okay. Willing to consider multiple options now for a new team as the trade deadline of November 2nd continues to close in. Multiple teams apparently are interested. And although his interest in joining the Dolphins has become the worst kept secret, of a lot of league circles, the source disputed the notion that it's simply Miami or bust. Why does he want to go to Miami? That's a train wreck. Now he can start, obviously. But it's on the emerging option that maybe the Carolina Panthers, who are bringing in elevating the pursuit of a franchise quarterback and their ugly loss to the Giants. They have talked about possibly looking at Deshaun Watson. There's growing expectation Carolina could reignite Watson, so to speak. But you got to wait because any serious suitor is going to have to get past these serious sexual assault allegations that have surfaced. So we'll see. The Panthers have I guess begun talking to Houston, and Darnold was benched early in the fourth quarter yesterday. He's still going to be Carolina's starter moving forward, but he's looked terrible. And ever since Christian McCaffrey went down, that team's been in a tailspin. So apparently there's some news in the NFL. Also, the bigger news in the NFL was that Matt Nagy has tested positive for COVID, which should almost automatically make the Bears a favorite going into next week's contest, no matter who they're playing. I like it. Like it a lot. This is from Kirsten. Kirsten says, who you got in tomorrow night's World Series? Well, tomorrow night's game, I'd almost have to go with the Astros. Just being at home and the fact that they've just been hitting the hell out of the baseball. Valdez goes to the hill tomorrow for the Astros. Morton is going to the hill for the Braves, but the Astros, they just pounded the baseball against the Red Sox. Now, if they stay hot like that, they're going to win this series, much to my chagrin. But now I have to root for the Braves. I just do. I as much as I like Dusty Baker, I can't root for the Braves. If the Astros win it and Dusty gets his trophy, I'm okay with it. But I just watching the jubilation of Altuve and company, and a lot of those guys that were all accused of doing that cheating, it was really hard to watch. As much as I like, did you see Dusty Baker, by the way, when they won the other night? So the team is running onto the field. Everybody's just jubilant. They're bouncing, they're piling on, the whole thing. And Dusty's still filling out his notebook. He's still writing stuff down. I don't know if he's writing down, remember this moment, I finally got here, or he's writing down more game notes. I have no idea. But he's just very quietly, his mask is pulled down, his toothpick is there. He's just writing down game notes. And then somebody came over and congratulated him as if to say, you're going to the World Series. He went, oh, okay, great. He's still writing stuff down. So there you go. Rick says, wasn't Gary drafted in the late 20s? Oh, the first round, yeah. But he came with a high end of expectation. By many. Not me, but by many. 877-867-1670. Hit us up. Dusty Baker, by the way, 72 years old, is the Astros manager. He's back in the World Series for the first time since 2002 when he was with the Giants, if you remember, when they lost to the Angels in 7 games. It's the longest span between World Series appearances since Bucky Harris was the player manager for the Washington Senators back in 1925 and the manager for the Yankees in 1947. Dusty Baker, 12th in regular season wins. The 11 managers ahead of him have all won a World Series, and all except Bruce Bochy are in the Hall of Fame. And Dusty had a hell of a career as a player, remember. But he could actually go into the Hall of Fame as a manager for the number of wins that he has. if he continues on. There you go. So good for Dusty Baker. But the new Cardinals manager, by the way, 35 years old. I've always said age doesn't mean a damn thing. It really doesn't. When we talk about you got to get somebody who's more relatable, maybe Dusty's relatable. Maybe Dusty hired guys around him that are extremely relatable. Maybe Dusty just has a way of coming down and meeting with younger players and saying, I got you. Dusty's always been a player's manager. He will always go to bat, pardon the pun, for his guys. Always. Always been a player's manager. Maybe he just has a way. Sometimes it's not about being the smartest. It's about your communication and the ability to communicate. He doesn't have to relate to a guy playing Madden 2021. He doesn't have to relate to a guy that still plays Xbox or he's a gamer on Twitch. He doesn't have to. All he has to be able to do is relate to that guy when it comes to his family, his life, his true concern for the player, the ability to put him in a good position to be successful. That's it. Beyond that, go do your thing, man. We may not be going to parties together. You may be going, but I'm not going to the club, but that doesn't mean I still can't be a good manager. Maybe Dusty's just got that ability. That's why this whole thing about, you got to find a younger guy. No, you don't. You got to find a guy that has relatability and the ability to talk to players and make them believe. That's what you have to have. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
5 years, no interest, Wayne Larrabee.
5 months, no first payment, Leroy Butler.
5 years, no interest.
5 months, no first payment.
Hey guys, why not both?
Gina Della from Pella?
Now, Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin offers you up to 5 years, no interest, 5 months, no first payment, plus up to 5% same-day order savings.
You mean?
Yep. 555's been extended through October 31st, so you can buy now and be all nice and cozy when those chilly winds blow. Plus, get up to 5% same-day order savings at your initial consultation.
You know, Leroy, I had Pella Lifestyle Series windows installed at the Larrabee house, and we just love them. No more drafts.
Pella windows are backed by some of the best warranties in the business.
Come on, guys. What do you say?
5 years, no interest, Leroy.
5 months, no first payment, Wayne.
Even up to 5% same-day order savings at your initial consultation, but only through October 31st. Set your free consultation now
at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now in Green Bay, Clemens.
Here's with 10 wins. Washington football team here at Lambeau Field. Green Bay pulled ahead just before halftime with a 72-yard drive that featured 5 passes and a touchdown to wide receiver Alan Lazard.
Being my third year here in the system with these guys, playing here in Lambeau, knowing the home crowd and everything, knowing our field, the repetition has just instilled a lot of confidence in me.
On defense, the Packers played without linebacker Preston Smith, so Rashawn Gary stepped up with 2 quarterback sacks. Is he satisfied to get to 6-1?
Satisfying is not satisfying. I just finished week 7. Still got a whole season. Still got a lot to improve and get better in my game to help myself and help this defense, get to where we got to be.
Matt LaFleur said Rashawn Gary was given a game ball.
It was great to see guys like Rashawn Gary get 2 sacks, what he brings to this football team, how much he cares. And it's awesome to see a guy like that get rewarded.
In the third quarter, Washington had thought they had scored twice on attempts at the goal line that were overturned by replay. Quarterback Taylor Heineke.
I don't want to get into specifics, but I felt like I was in there both times. I mean, I don't want to get fined up here, so I'm not going to get into specifics about that. But, we didn't punt the ball once. We just couldn't finish in the red zone.
Washington head coach Ron Rivera.
The interpretation is gave himself up. Okay. So to me, when he dove and stretched, that didn't look like he was giving himself up. Go from there.
So Washington falls to 2-5 while Green Bay gets ready to face the undefeated Cardinals in Arizona Thursday night. Are the Packers where they need to be? Aaron Rodgers.
I think we're close. I think we got to keep finding ways to get the ball to our guys in space. But when our defense is playing like they did today, we're going to be tough to beat.
That's Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers from Lambeau Field. I'm Mike Clemens on the Bill Michaels Show.
You know what season is right around the corner, and that is hunting season. And Pine Mountain Resort, they have a hunter's lodging special going on. If you book a condo, one of their condos up there, $275 a night. Now, the condo sleeps numerous. And if you are going to do $275 a night per night for 5 nights, you get 2 of those nights for free. November 1st through the 30th is when this special is going on. You can call them right now to book 906-774-2747. 906-774-2747. If you're going to go up into the UP or up into northern Wisconsin, up into the Pembine area, you can book right now at Pine Mountain Resort. You can book the condo, $275 a night for 5 nights, but you're going to get 2 of those nights for free. For free. That's November 1st through the 30th. Call them today. Again, 906-774-2747. 906-774-2747. Or just go to pinemountainresort.com. That is pinemountainresort.com and see all that it is they have to offer. So if you're going to go up north, do a little hunting. There you go. Good stuff. 877-867-1670. This is from our buddy Steve. We were talking about the Astros. It's just, look, I like Dusty Baker. I just can't watch the Astros. He says, would you rather see an excited Astros team that cheated in the past to get to the World Series, or a team like the Brewers that had no emotion and they looked like they didn't even care if they won or lost? Well, it's hard to look emotional in a very joyous way when you're watching your offense go 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're down, because they just stunk. I will say this, and I agree with you. The problem I have with it is you didn't see anybody try to pick anybody up. It was just like, well, we're going down. So you just kind of watch them just go down slowly. You know, it never materialized into any enthusiasm in any way, shape, or form. So, yeah, I agree with you. It was hard to watch the Brewers go down. And the Brewers now, they got to figure it out. We haven't talked a lot about the Brewers since really the offseason began. And hopefully, I mean, once this World Series is done, what I think as far as the baseball world goes, I think is going to happen. We are going to shift from what the postseason means for each team and who needs to go where and who's going to do what. I think it's going to more materialize into at what point do they get a CBA done? It may be a while before we see baseball again if they can't work this thing out. That's the real story. We're just waiting for it to unfold. Right now, we're not going to allow it to taint the World Series. It's not going to happen. But the talk, I mean, it's very soft, but the rumblings are beginning. It's starting to happen where, well, what's going to happen? Are the owners going to give in? Are the players going to give in? Are they going to have an area in which they start to come to the forefront, where they start to meet in the middle? Some concessions made, you know, I mean, do they start to allow some of these younger players? Do they take away a couple of these years of service time so they can make it to free agency a little bit quicker? So you don't have teams that are manipulating their rights and such. You know, that's what a lot of this could come down to. And it's, you know, it's not good. So we might have seen the last of baseball for a while if they can't come to an off-season agreement. I mean, I hope they're smart enough not to have a stoppage. You might as well just start ringing the death knell of baseball if they do that, because people are going to be so pissed off. But it is what it is. Hopefully there's smart people that are passionate enough about keeping the game on track rather than the greed. By the way, Merlin says, don't forget Jim's Bar is near not necessarily the Minnesota border, but the Iowa border. Yes, you know what? I did make the mistake. I apologize. It is along the Iowa border. And it's going to be, I would assume that in that area, it's going to be heated this weekend as Iowa comes to Camp Randall. Good back and forth between the two. But I have to admit, I've never been to Prairie du Chien, so I'm looking forward to it. Casey said, Jim's Bar, great place to watch a Packer game. Been there a couple of times. Looking forward to you guys coming, and we will be there. Are they selling tickets? I have no idea. I had heard that they were considering it. I don't know. I had some people email about that. You get a hold of Jim's Bar in Prairie du Chien, and they'll let you know what's going on. I don't know if it's reserved seating. I couldn't tell you. I don't know. I've been in contact with them, and today we'll start talking a little bit more. But I honestly, I don't know. Honestly, don't know. Speaking of bars, had a great experience this past weekend. Went to a new place, new sponsor coming on board called the Wrestling Taco. The Wrestling Taco. They're in West Allis, Wisconsin, near State Fair Park, not far on 84th Street. And a terrific place. Really good food. Had a fun time with the owner and his wife. She was bartending, and they had some really good people that were in there and sat and watched some of the Red Sox Astros game on Friday night. But just a lot of fun. And we're actually at some point going to do one of our post-game shows over there. We'll go over there. Just they're good people, and they just opened the business. They've never run a restaurant before. They put a lot of work and energy into it, and the place looks great on the inside. So the Wrestling Taco on 84th Street in West Allis. If you're looking for some good tacos or just good Mexican food in general, head on in. And by the way, the margarita, that'll make you do things that you never thought you would do. That was pretty loaded. There you go. This portion of the program, by the way, brought to you by our friends at Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. When we come back, going to talk a little bit more. Well, don't forget, 20 minutes away, Mike Clemens is going to join us. Mike will be here. We'll start breaking down yesterday's contest and getting you ready for the upcoming one on Wednesday or on Thursday night when the Packers take on the Arizona Cardinals. Stay tuned. We got still another hour yet to go on the Bill Michaels Show. We'll be back right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Packers going to be back in the field for the final time this week later today as they continue to prep for a visit from Washington. That includes new outside linebacker Whitney Merciless. He went through his first practice yesterday since signing with the club. After playing his entire 10-year career with Houston, Merciless chose the Packers over Kansas City, Pittsburgh, and others. He even took less money to sign with Green Bay.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. By much, it wasn't really that much or whatnot, but it's not even about the money at this point. It's more so trying to get a championship. I'm trying to contribute as much as I can. Year 10 for guys like me on the back half of the career and all that. Best option that I thought was coming here with a winning mentality, and definitely sense that here. And I just want to be a dog and add to that.
It's unclear if Sliz will be available for Sunday. Packers might need him as linebacker Preston Smith missed practice for a second straight day yesterday with an oblique injury. The good news, though, safety Darnell Savage returned. He's coming off a concussion. Cornerback Kevin King also practiced yesterday for a second straight day. Kick on Sunday is coming at noon. Turning to the Badgers, they're going to head to West Lafayette today. It's where they'll take on number 25 Purdue tomorrow. Wisconsin's beaten the Boilermakers 14 straight times. Their last win was in 2003. Kick is set for 2 o'clock.
Need to get away this winter? Then it's time to plan one at Pine Mountain Resort, the Upper Peninsula's premier ski resort. Pine Mountain Resort is the #1 rated ski resort in Michigan and Wisconsin. Stay in one of the newly renovated rooms at the lodge and take on the mountain, or just sit by the fire in the bar. The Pine Mountain Ski Jump is the tallest man-made ski jump in North America. Take advantage of their ski and stay packages from 1 to 4 nights, or get a season-long pass available now. Book online today at PineMountainResort.com. That's PineMountainResort.com.
Well, the Bucs were blown out in Miami last night, 137-95. Wisconsin native Tyler Hero had 27 points for the Heat. Milwaukee paced by Giannis Antetokounmpo's 15 points. Milwaukee will be in San Antonio tomorrow. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil-Pritt.
Final hour of the program. The Packers are expected to be without their defensive coordinator, Joe Barry, for the upcoming game. He will not make the trip to Arizona after testing positive for COVID. The Packers have not specifically stated who will be calling the defensive plays just yet. But Joe Barry expected, as they stated, to take part virtually, getting the team ready, the defense ready for this Thursday night's contest. So, and for the NFL, the question is, were the coaches vaccinated? Yes, all the NFL coaches must be vaccinated, and Barry, he's going to be required to get 2 negative tests in a 24-hour period before he can return to the team. Now, the Packers, they are scheduled to leave for Phoenix on Wednesday. Now, if he's not able to be there, not able to be a part of the team, just most likely it's going to be Jerry Gray. Remember, he was a defensive coordinator with the Buffalo Bills and the Tennessee Titans. So he's most likely going to be the guy. And don't forget, he was also a guy that was considered for the defensive coordinator's job before Joe Barry was hired. But just another chip or whatever that is stacked against the Green Bay Packers going into Arizona on Thursday night. Remember, only 33.7% of road teams have won on Thursday Night Football. It's difficult to turn it around that quick. But the Packers doing it now with yet another issue stacked against them. So they have that going. By the way, the Jets quarterback has got a PCL sprain. He's out 2 to 4 weeks. Deshaun Watson looking at numerous teams, including the Carolina Panthers. The Bears' Matt Nagy has tested positive for COVID, so he's going to be down for a while. We'll see if he's able to come back by the weekend. They're still talking about whether or not they're going to bring in Trey Lance or stick with Jimmy Garoppolo. Kyle Shanahan out in San Francisco trying to make some decisions there. So a lot going on throughout the NFL. As last night, you had San Francisco hosting the Indianapolis Colts. I give it to the Colts, man. Colts, they've got themselves, first of all, the Colts have a good run game. And 30-18, they get the win last night. But Jonathan Taylor has become a really solid back for them, averaging just under 6 yards a carry last night, 18 carries, 107 yards, and a touchdown. Carson Wentz, 17-26, threw 2 touchdown passes last night. Looked good, not huge yardage. He spread the ball around. 17-26, 150 yards, and a couple of touchdowns. But big night last night for the Colts, who go on the road to the West Coast, get themselves a win in the elements. It was pouring down rain there last night. It was pouring down rain. So good for the Colts to get the roundup. The big news: Tampa Bay, terrific, throws his 600th touchdown pass alone, all by himself in that club. Nobody's ever thrown for 600 before yesterday. Brady did it. 38-3, they got the win over the Bears. The Arizona Cardinals 31-5 over the Texans. The Raiders hold on, and they beat the Eagles 33-22. The Rams, it wasn't huge, but they did enough. 28-19, they get the win over the Lions. That was in the quarterback swap bowl. Then you got the Tennessee Titans, who just took it to the Kansas City Chiefs. 27-3. The Giants did the same thing to the Panthers, and the Panthers are in a free fall. They get beat 27-5 as the Giants get their second win of the season. Talk about a rout. The Patriots destroyed the New York Jets 54-13 yesterday. Just poured it on. The Falcons, they barely get by the Dolphins, but the Falcons bring their record back to 3-3 and try to give themselves a little bit of a glimmer of hope. 30-28. They dropped the Dolphins. Meanwhile, over in the AFC, the Bengals solidified themselves in the top spot of the AFC North, 41-17 over the Ravens. The Browns, as we know, on Thursday night got the 17-14 win. The Packers get a win. And tonight on Monday Night Football, the Seahawks at 2-4 are hosting the Saints at 3-2. And then that'll wrap up this week. So a lot of football, a good football yesterday. You got some good matchups coming up, though. Obviously, the Packers on the road on Thursday night, and that's a doozy. Then you got Carolina and the Falcons trying to kind of square off against one another and see who gets back into the winning sense. You got a good AFC North matchup with the Steelers and the Browns. You've also got the Colts hosting the Tennessee Titans in that one. The Chargers are back in action, and they're facing the Patriots. The Patriots got to go East Coast to West Coast. So that's going to be an interesting one. The Cowboys and the Vikings in Minnesota on Sunday Night Football. Also Sunday afternoon, the Buccaneers on the road taking on the Saints, and the Dome will be a rocking for sure. And then you've got a really crappy, again, Monday Night Football contest where you got the Giants and the Chiefs reeling right now, as we had stated a little bit earlier. Other than that, you don't have huge matchups. You do have the Bears that are going to be hosting San Francisco. So if the Packers take a loss and go to 6-2 and the Bears get a win, suddenly the Bears are back at 500. They're a couple of games behind the Packers. They've got new life, so we'll see what happens on Sunday afternoon when the Bears host the 49ers. But yeah, you got some decent games coming up this weekend in the NFL, and it all kicks off on Thursday night with Thursday Night Football and the Packers and the Cardinals. So good stuff. Brett says, hey, Bill, do you think that without Joe Barry, the defense will play looser and therefore better? And what happens if Gray calls the plays and calls them better than Barry? Does then Matt LaFleur begin to reconsider? No. Don't overthink this. I get where you're going, but don't overthink it. I just think that Barry's going to be a part of the preparation. He's the defensive coordinator. Nobody's backstabbing anybody. It's just going to be whether or not the Packers go out and play a really good game. Nothing more than that. We'll see. Now, there could be a play call or two here that's a little bit different, or something that maybe goes via gut or something like that. But no, I don't foresee any situation in which this creates controversy other than among fans. Because fans love to talk, but no, I don't think so. I don't think so at all. And put it this way, after that first drive of the game yesterday, it was funny because it was fire Joe Barry. The defense doesn't show any intensity. They're terrible. They're scattered. They come out bad. And then throughout the rest of the game, they look pretty good. And it can't every week it can't be fire the coordinator. You can't go with fire Capers, fire Pettin, fire Barry, because you're just firing people to fire people. You got to let it play out. So to answer your question, no, there's not going to be any controversy here. Nothing here. Nothing to see here. Not unless this thing goes horrifically wrong. Then, yeah, maybe there might be a change necessitated or something, but for the most part, no, not going to happen. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you would like to chime in, do it. This is Chris. Chris says, hey, Bill, what day are you getting out to Prairie du Chien? Chris, probably getting there Saturday evening, afternoon or evening, because we're going to be in Viroqua. We're going up to Viroqua, out and up to Viroqua on Thursday night into Friday the 5th. And then after that, on Saturday, depending on what time we get up and get moving, because there's no rush at that point, get up, get moving on Saturday the 6th, and then head to Prairie du Chien to get in there and get acclimated, and then hopefully get set up early on Sunday morning, and then get ready for the game and the post game. And then after that, got to head back to Milwaukee. And by the way, I did want to make a mention of this. So the dinner at Copperfield's coming up on Wednesday night, the cigar dinner on Wednesday night, November 10th. Two charities are going to be benefited by this. One being the American Black Holocaust Museum, which is right in Milwaukee. The other one being Fisher House, Wisconsin, for veterans and their families and military members. It's going to be a lot of really good appetizers, some good food, which I'll tell you tomorrow where the food's coming from, and you're going to like it. We're going to have a tasting of some good bourbons and some scotches that they have there, some craft beers as well, and yes, good cigars. And all of that comes for one price. It's $55. So get your friends, cigar smokers, food lovers, sports lovers, whatever it happens to be. Join us. We're going to be at Copperfield Cigar Dinner coming up on Wednesday night, November 10th. And one price, it's $55. You get all of that for $55. So you get more than the value back, so to speak. And that's why they wanted to keep it at a good price. So, and maybe we'll do this again, but this is a one-time, normally it's a private cigar club. So that's why it's kind of cool, because they're opening their doors to the public, to everybody, to ticket buyers, that is. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So if you can join us, please come on out. Again, Wednesday night, November 10th. And if you want to get tickets, go to the Facebook fan page. You can go to facebook.com/The Bill Michaels Show. Facebook.com/The Bill Michaels Show. Or if you're on Facebook, just search Copperfield's Cigar Dinner and it'll pop up. Copperfield Cigar Dinner and it'll pop up. But if you want to get the tickets, you can always go over to Eventbrite and you can search on the Eventbrite page and just go to the cigar dinner. It'll say Cigar Dinner, Copperfield's Wednesday night, November 10th. Cocktails start at 5, dinner around 6, and we just kind of enjoy ourselves. And I'm just checking right now. There's only 47 tickets remaining. 47 tickets remaining. And the cost per ticket, $55 plus tax, which is like $3. So it's going to be a really, really, really good time. Looking forward to it. Let's do this. We're going to step away, take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to bring in Mike Clemens. Going to talk with Mike about this win yesterday by the Green Bay Packers. Going to talk with him about the preparation, getting ready for the Arizona game on Thursday. No Joe Barry, at least not as of right now, because of the COVID testing. And Joe Barry, in case you're just tuning us in. So there's a lot going on with the Green Bay Packers. We're going to touch base with Mike Clemens from NFL Sirius Radio and our Green and Gold Insider. That's coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Green Bay trying to take advantage of the takeaway. Into the end zone. Tight end. Touchdown. Tunyon. Happy tight ends day.
I thought the safety was going to be outside leverage me. I was still thinking it was going to be a good opportunity to get the ball. And then I went vertical, and then I saw the linebacker attach me inside, and I was like, this is the perfect look. So I was hoping the ball was going to be in the air when I turned, and it was, and good throw.
Welcome back. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at New Mel Medical Center. Getting it done with guys all over the state of Wisconsin and well beyond the borders. Don't forget, call them 414-455-4451. That's 414-455-4451. One phone number, 2 locations, whether it's ED, low T, which can get you down, get you moody, get you feeling kind of sluggish, start to put on some weight, or the all-in-one weight loss program. They can help you out with that as well. All you got to do is call 414-455-4451. That's 414-455-4451. Joining us now on the hotline, our good buddy Mike Clemens. Michael, how you doing, pal?
I'm pretty good. I thought that was a decent win yesterday. I thought that was an entertaining game, even though it probably looked really sloppy on TV. But there weren't many Redskin fans there, at least people wearing – I'm sorry. Did I say Redskins?
You did, but that's okay. I know what you're talking about.
I tried all weekend long, but when you see the jerseys, it looks like the same thing for the Washington football team.
Yep.
So you're looking for those folks in the parking lot. Not many of them. It's an interesting weekend because of the connections between the Packers. I mean, let's not forget that that's the team that Lombardi went to after he resigned as the general manager, and coached there for a year and a half before he passed away from cancer. That's the team that Mark Murphy won the Super Bowl with as a safety for those guys,
right?
Back in the 1980s. So it was an entertaining atmosphere at that game yesterday. Over 78,000 in attendance.
It was a game where, Mike, I thought we might see more of the tight end eventually. I didn't think it would become that dominant in this game, but it was good to see Tunyon back. It was good to see Mercedes Lewis become contributing factors consistently.
Yeah, I waver between what's going on with the distribution. Robert Tunyon had 11 touchdown catches last year, and after yesterday, he's now got 7 games into the season. So he's way behind, and we've talked about how Alan Lazard has not received a lot of targets, nor is Tunyon. They say it's got to do with the fact that they're asking him to do more blocking or chip blocking with Bakhtiari out of left tackle, trying to help guys out. And you wonder if it's like an agenda, like let's try and pad the stats for Davante Adams so he can get the big contract. All these things that are going on. There's some people that have looked at the film and said, Tunya's not that good of a blocker with what they've asked him to do last 4 or 5 weeks. At the end of the day, you start to listen to Rodgers, and it's like, no, this is the game for me. And when you actually look at practice, when the receivers line up, they've got Davante Adams and then 33, Aaron Jones. So, the LaFleur and Nathaniel Hackett are coming up with game plans where they're saying, we want to find ways to get football into those two guys' hands, whether it's, by air or by land. And regardless of the double teams and those kinds of things, that's where we want to put the football. Yesterday, they do mix it up. They get it to Robert Tonyan, and he was asked, has it been frustrating to watch his catch and touchdown numbers go so far down this year?
I wouldn't say it's frustration, but we're getting wins. We're 6-1. I'm not really going to complain about that. It's hard to win in the NFL. I'm not going to sit here and pout over statistics or, balls or whatever it is. As long as we're holding up the trophy at the end of the year, I really don't care what my stats are.
And, which is great. But at least yesterday, Aaron Rodgers and Robert Tonyan was one of his more favorite targets, a guy that he was really speaking highly of last year. So it was good to see him, kind of splitting the defense, so to speak, running down the middle of the field and Aaron Rodgers hitting him.
And Bill, there's also, the business of pro football, because I know when you've had Andrew Brandt on, the former finance VP for the team, and some of these other guys, that some of these players are getting, their agents are calling Russ Ball and saying, hey, what are you doing to my guy? I mean,
right.
You haven't thrown it past him how long is this going to last? You and I came up with a contract 2 years ago for this guy. That's a lot of it's based on his receiving production. This is costing him money. How long is this going to be? There are those phone calls. So there's all those back office pressures that are going on. At the same time, you try and ask Tonyan about it. And, listen how excited he was, though, to finally catch that ball over the middle and get into the end zone and spike it.
Just kind of when you're taking those mental pictures as you run your route, you see the shell of the defense, you see the, where everyone's at. And then when you kind of bend it in there and you see the ball, you kind of have to think of the time for the ball to get there, people driving on that, and the concept that you have as an offense of where your people are at. So you got to kind of feel where the defenders are going to be at. I guess he just kind of let up a little bit to hit me. So, I've ran so many routes over the middle in my lifetime, just kind of getting that feel and just, whatever it takes to hold on to that ball.
Pretty emphatic, spike Selly from you after that touchdown. Was that more a moment of personal vindication, or, you're thinking of that 21-7 lead, or you're really just like, I'm so proud of myself for getting here?
I think it was just more so like I'm back in the end zone. I'm like before, it was just kind of a stretch of more so blocking and not getting the ball as much, but again, winning games. So I think it was just kind of that sigh of relief and a lot of built up just hype for that spike. Needed it.
I love that. Needed it. By the way, with teams, Mike, much like the Bears had showed, the fact that they're going to focus on Davante Adams so much, other guys like Lazard, like Tonyan, they're going to have to step up.
Yeah, Bill, I think that's a great example, too. When you're playing some of these tougher defensive fronts like the Packers have, doesn't it always seem like things go a little slow, and then either the Packers wear these defenses down, or, it takes a quarter or two before LaFleur and Rodgers figure out some things that they can do and they can make adjustments, and then they get things going, if they're going to win some of these football games. And it happened again yesterday, because that was a defensive front that was sacking Rodgers. And so Rodgers talked about, on getting more balls yesterday to Robert Tonyan and Alan Lazard versus Washington yesterday.
It was nice to get Bobby going. Nice to get Allen a bunch of touches. We didn't run the ball very well. We didn't protect great in the first half. Good front, really good front. 4 first-rounders, but didn't protect necessarily that well. And we had some opportunities if we just hold up a little bit longer. on some plays, I had to kind of deal it and get rid of it. So, but I feel like we're close. We got to keep finding ways to get the ball to guys in space. When our defense is playing like they did today, we're going to be tough to beat.
As the game wore on, did you feel like you were making, the right adjustments?
Yeah, it's a different defense. They got a real good front. They play a bunch of different coverages in the back end. So we had to kind of be patient at times, didn't run the ball well. But we did a pretty good job on third down. We still have some red zone issues. The efficiency is just not quite where it needs to be. But we're 6-1. So, like I said on the field to Pam, coach's dream situation is winning and still being able to correct a lot of things. So they're happy.
What does it do for the offense when you can get Bobby and Allen involved?
I think it can open up some other things. Teams are still trying to take away Devontae in a number of different ways, but a lot of double coverage. There's actually a few times where he was singled up today and try to go to him in those situations, but that'll be the focus moving forward. I'm sure every single week it starts and ends with him, but the more we can get guys like Allen involved and Bobby involved, it's going to, slowly give Tay a few more one-on-ones probably.
So it was good to see the Packers get a win. Aaron Rodgers break down the offense, get the ball and spread it around. But then he drops on everybody that he has a back issue. He had to come in early and he thanks the staff. And Mike, I thought, if he just leaves it at that, we don't have anything to talk about today, but he has to take it down the road of the antiquated rule, why we are not sleeping in our own beds. Matt LaFleur has to then answer to that. While on one hand, I kind of giggled, on the other hand, I'm thinking, man, you start something, you kind of drop that bomb in the middle of the room and you just walk away, because if he doesn't say anything about, quote, the antiquated rule in the hotel, then there's nobody talking about any of this today, but Aaron Rodgers brought it up.
He's on a roll. After sitting out for 6 months, they were at the shareholders meeting, and out of nowhere, Mark Murphy's talking about, and one of the new projects we've got is we're going to build underground parking for the players and move all the coaches' office so they're closer back by the locker rooms. And I'm like, where did that come from?
Right.
How much is that going to cost? And I've told this story before, that when Bob Harlan built on the new section of the stadium, they tore down the old offices. You remember those when you first got to cover Packers, right?
Right.
All right. So they had that loading dock, and Favre talked Mike Sherman and like, man, I want to deal with fans and all that kind of stuff. Can I park my truck back there in the loading dock? Sure. So him and Mike Sherman had their trucks parked in the loading dock for years. When Favre left and when Mike Sherman was fired, that was changed. It became the Mike McCarthy and Ted Thompson parking spots. And it's been that way. Players are out in the players' lot, and the head coach and the GM, they get the warm, toasty place. They're in the loading dock. Well, guess who's now parking in the loading dock? It's Aaron Rodgers in that little golf cart. That's where he's putting that. So see, technically he's still now got underground parking. He couldn't park his car there. So then the next thing is now he's had back problems. He's never on the injury report. There's 2 or 3 years ago, maybe it was LaFleur's first year. They said that he was not going to appear in a preseason game because he had a back problem, stiffness, a couple of days. And, I wondered if that was a real thing. And then I saw him in the locker room the next day, and he had all those suction cups on his back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he periodically has problems with a stiff back. So they stay in a team hotel. It used to be the Radisson forever over by the airport in Green Bay. And when LaFleur came, that's one of the many things he changed. New team hotel, new culture, new paint jobs, all that kind of stuff. So they stayed at a different place. And so Rodgers, at the end of his press conference last night, just revealed this.
First of all, I do have to give a big shout out to Nate Weir and Mike Zoli. I woke up this morning and my back was killing me. It was all locked up, and I came in here early. And I'm thankful for those guys taking care of me in order to go out and play today. Yeah, my back was a little stiff Saturday, and maybe you guys know this or don't know this, but there's an antiquated procedural thing in our league where the most important night of sleep, we stay at a hotel. And I don't want to blame it on the hotel. It's a nice hotel. But my bed at the house that I'm sleeping every other night of my time here in Green Bay would probably be a little bit of a better option, I think. And that's just my opinion.
First I heard of it right there. So, I don't know.
Aaron also said there's this
antiquated thing in this league where our most important night.
Well, Coach Rodgers and I will have a discussion after this, I'm sure.
There you go. Little Coach Rodgers, he drops on him. Let's do this. We're going to step away, take a quick break. Mike Clemens on hold. We got a lot more to get to as we continue to break down yesterday's win and look ahead to the Thursday night contest between the Packers and the Arizona Cardinals. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Final seconds of this first half. Rodgers in rhythm, tosses end zone. It's been all about Lazard, and he caps it off with a touchdown.
I felt really confident today, especially going against that secondary group. Obviously, having 12 back there instills the most confidence in you, just knowing that all you really have to do is just get somewhat of separation and he'll be able to plug you. So knowing that going into the drive, knowing that we needed a score to get some momentum back and everything to be able to recapture the lead, obviously just opportunities presented themselves and I was able to capitalize. So just thankful for those moments.
It was the Allen Lazard drive that put the Packers into the end zone. Welcome back to the program, the Bill Michaels Show, brought to you by our friends at Dwayne's Cover It All in Wausau. And Dwayne's a great guy. Call him 715-870-2119. 715-870-2119. You got a boat, you need a cover for it, especially this time of year. Maybe you need upholstery, maybe an awning, some for your business, for your home, whatever it may be. Go to Dwayne's, DUANES, Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com. That is Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com. Again, call them 715-870-2119, and that's who does the work for me. 715-870-2119. Mike Clemens along for the ride. And so Mike, Allen Lazard, boy, that was the Allen Lazard drive. He just was over and over and over again, the right place, the right time. And again, we talked about spreading the ball around and not just focusing on Devontae. He was the guy that became the benefactor of Aaron Rodgers' looks yesterday.
And to me, it looked like Rodgers started finding something in the right slot, and whatever he put in there, that's where he was going to throw the football to, and they just didn't seem to be able to respond. And this is after, Chase Young and a couple other guys had taken their shots and put pressure or sacked Rodgers. Taylor Heineke was moving the football, and, you saw he could be electric at times. And it's a 7-7 ball game and getting late to be, late in the first half. And so they come up with that drive, 5 passes to Allen Lazard, including the touchdown. And so he was asked after the game, that touchdown drive that he hit caught the touchdown. Then you go to halftime. Then you came back and Rashawn Gary gets that bobbled interception, followed by the touchdown pass to Tunyon. How big of a momentum swing was that?
Oh, that was huge. I think overall, I think anyone on our staff, players, whatever, I don't think we're satisfied with the win today. I think it was pretty sloppy on our end. We know what our potential is, how much better we can play. So that series of events was huge for us to be able to kind of regain the momentum, to be able to kind of bust open a wider lead and to kind of be able to cruise away with the win.
It's good for Lazard in the sense that he kind of came out of nowhere. He wasn't the fastest. He didn't jump the highest. He just ran good routes and all of a sudden got the trust of the quarterback, Mike, and he's become somewhat of a cog.
And he was down there in Jacksonville before that and pretty much overlooked and not really getting his opportunities. The Packers brought him in. They thought he had some potential, put him on the practice squad. He had a great camp. Then they cut him. Then they brought him back a week or two later. Then he ends up being like a star when Davante Adams went down with a turf toe for like 4 games. He comes into this season, and because of the blocking we've been talking about that he's doing downfield for Aaron Jones and running plays that Tunyon's been doing, he's not getting many targets. And the focus that they are trying to get the ball to Davante Adams. And even when the special team screws up, he's running up to the special teams coach, Mo Drayton, and say, put me in there, okay? Make me a gunner because I'm going to stop these returns, And so LaFleur says, this guy is just a total team player. On offense, he calls him, quote, one of his goons to go downfield and start hitting guys. And so Allen Lazard was asked, what does it mean to you when you hear LaFleur talk about what a total team player you are?
It means everything, just to be in this building. I've my life journey, my career's journey, professionally especially, hasn't been the prettiest. For me, I run out on that field I hear the national anthem. It's such a humbling, just centering moment for me, just because of like realizing where I am, what I'm able to do, and what I can do with the platform and stage that I have. Not only for me personally or my family, but just, the community, other people as well. So yeah, I mean, I'm just very, very grateful. Obviously for the head ball coach to recognize me, be able to trust me in a lot of situations. And then for my teammates and everybody else just to recognize the efforts that I give out there, no matter what it is. Like I said, it's sifting a DN, blocking linebacker, blocking safeties, corners, taking the top off, short game. I've always cemented myself as never making myself one-dimensional. I think my dad, just from growing up, of how he taught me the game of football and how to attack football and really just sports or in general in life, is just not making yourself one-dimensional. And he's taught me so much that has laid the foundation for my football character of who I am today. So I think a lot of it deserves credit towards him, my dad. And then just, I just want to be great at the end of the day. I want to win a Super Bowl. I want to be in Canton, Ohio. So that's what motivates me. That's what keeps me going, as well as many other things as well. But those are just kind of the few there.
So his pickup and bringing in character, and then you look at the other pickup that they brought in, which was so huge, was Devondre Campbell, to watch him continue to play. So you got Lazard on the offensive side. Campbell comes in, and people are like, well, how's this guy even on the open market? They get him, and he's been nothing but a godsend defensively for this team.
He has. He's just made some amazing plays. He's been leading and tackling. He's been out there directing traffic. Oh, by the way, when you're getting ready for Kyler Murray and that group with the Cardinals, guess who's had a lot of snaps in practice against that? Devondre Campbell. That's where he came from their practice squad. So he knows what the Cardinals are all about. And, when you hear Lazard, Bill, you can hear that emotion and that purpose and that, see, they're smelling it, 5 wins in a row, 6 wins in a row. They start seeing what's going on in the second quarter of the schedule, and guys are going to get back. And with and now we've seen this with the Brewers too,
Right.
And then things fall apart for them in September. But for right now, it's really good. And it means that guys are trying even harder. You see them standing at attention, ready to go in the game, throughout on the sidelines during the game. And then you got a guy like Devondre Campbell, who at the halftime is telling the defense, now is the time that we have to turn this game around.
Momentum is everything in football. And at halftime coming out, I was telling the guys, I'm like, we ain't got no contract with them. Ain't nobody say we have to be out here for X amount of plays. Like, we can make this a one-play drive. And, Rashawn took that to heart and took it upon himself to make a play. He's a heck of a player, plays with great energy. And, I told him, I was like, just keep rushing and it'll come to you. And that's what happened. He's a heck of a player, plays with his heart on his sleeve.
Rashawn gets
go ahead.
Rashawn gets the 2 sacks, comes up with, the bobbled ball and the interception. And Rashawn ended up getting a game ball after the game yesterday.
Right. And it was all because Devondre Campbell at least inspired him in some way, shape, or form, but also not only getting the sacks and such, but also down in that goal line stand, because those 2 guys were the ones plugging the middle and keeping Heineke out of the end zone.
Now, my sense was, and I think you said some of this in the postgame show, you had some frustration overall with the defense, right? I mean, I saw some fans commenting that they thought that goal line stand just made the defense look sloppy. To me, through the binoculars, man, I saw just a lot of effort. I mean, it looked confusing at times. But
I saw effort, Mike.
All over it.
What I saw was they got gifted an opportunity and they took advantage of it. So it's what you do with the opportunity. They did what they were supposed to do. They stymied his forward motion. Why Heineke ever went down at the goal line, I have no idea, because all he had to do was take one extra step and he was in the end zone, and it could possibly change the tide of the game. Instead, he gave new life to the defense. They took advantage of it. They got out of that 4th and short situation for the first time in 15 tries. And it seemed like it sparked something in them.
Well, and there's some of these offensive coordinators that say, if you look at the charts and everything, that's a dumb play to call, particularly for a shorter quarterback. Even a big guy like Josh Allen, they tried to use that quarterback sneak, into a big bunch, and they got shoved back, and the Titans won the game over it. You know, it's not always the ice ball.
Right.
It's the only way you can get footing and get inside there. And it's sort of a surprise play. And it's one of the reasons that they were talking about this last week in Green Bay, that, you know, it's kind of a dumb play to call for Aaron Rodgers. And so Devondre Campbell talked about how he and Rashawn Gary, though, they keyed on things they'd seen in film on a 4th and goal situation like that, and how they got the stop on Taylor Heineke.
Yeah, I think Joe B just put us in a really good call. We understood what the situation was, and once he went under center, I kind of had a feeling. I'm like, either he going to quarterback sneak it, or they're going to try to throw a real quick screen outside. So it was just a good play call, good play. It definitely was a key play in the game for sure.
So Heineke, look, I have no idea why he stopped short of the goal line when all he had to do was run it in. It's kind of like though it was a self-inflicted wound.
Right, he's got the speed for that. You know, he had a 37-yard run up the middle yesterday. And you know, the other thing is that you hear these guys calling the defense coordinator Joe Barry, man. I mean, they're playing for this guy. They're playing for this guy. So far, so good. And so then you go over to the Washington locker room, and there's Taylor Heineke. You know, we talked about last week about how much this meant to him growing up in Georgia, watching Packers football games with his dad, who was from Wisconsin, and watching Brett Favre, and this was going to be his first game, and how much it had meant to him. And after the game, he talked about what happened on that double pump, and you know, the not getting in, and the replay overturning the quarterback sneak touchdown.
I don't want to get into specifics, but I felt like I was in there both times. I mean, you know, I don't want to get fined up here, so I'm not going to get into specifics about that, but I felt like I got in both times. And then the other time, you know, I just missed Ricky there in the back of the end zone. So it was tough. You know, I thought we did well, though. You know, we didn't punt the ball once. We moved the ball on them. We just couldn't finish in the red zone.
Well, that was disappointing. I mean, you know, the interpretation is gave himself up. Okay. So to me, when he dove and stretched, that didn't look like he was giving himself up. Go from there.
Let's do this. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, we'll wrap things up. Mike Clemens with us in Green Bay. And the Bay Motel brings you all the reports from Mike in Green Bay. Quiet, cozy, comfortable, just a mile from Lambeau Field. Good people over there. Perfect for a family stay. And then the Bay Family Restaurant. They feature home-style cooking. It's 7 days a week there at the Bay Motel. And the Bay Motel's on South Military Avenue in Green Bay, 1301 to be exact, South Military Avenue. And all you got to do is give them a buzz, whether it's game days, weekends, or off-season stuff. Just give them a call for reservations, 920-494-3441. Good old-fashioned Bay Motel in Green Bay, 920-494-3441, 920-494-3441. Or go online and check them out at Bay Motel, greenbay.com. Bay Motel, greenbay.com. We'll wrap things up with Mike Clemens coming up next.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
You've heard us talk many times about how much we loved Coach Lombardi. Working for him, playing for him, being with him. Some people come into our lives and quickly go, like waves briefly touching the shore. Some people stay for a while and give us a deeper understanding of what is truly important in this life. They touch our souls. And because of the footprints they leave on our hearts, we will never, ever be the same. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you so much for coming and the commitment you've made for so many years and the people that you have helped as a result of all of that. Thank you very much.
Those are the words of the late, great Bart Starr. And that was at, and he recited that speech numerous times, year after year, at the Lombardi Award of Excellence. And I was honored enough to be a presenter for so many years in doing that. And Bart Starr, obviously, recent passing. But Mike, they've got some stuff going on in Green Bay to honor Bart even more so.
And thanks for bringing me along. You were the MC that night. That turned out to be Bart's last public appearance. And, you know, he means so much. One thing I thought that was great about Bart Starr was how this was a question. In 2005, I'm at Super Bowl 40, and they had this tremendous panel of former quarterbacks like Steve Young and Roger Staubach, and there's Bart Starr. And so it was another one of those periods where Brett Favre wasn't sure if he was coming back and, you know, taking some time off to make his decision. And one of the things that Brett would say is, you know, I'm 35, 36 years old, man. I'm going through my third generation on the roster. So I asked Bart, I said, you were in Green Bay for 15, 16 years as a player. What was it like for you? And instead of attacking Brett, he just said, Cherry and I lived in Green Bay for 37 years. We had friends at church. We had friends around town, our neighbors. We loved living in Green Bay. We never felt alone, which is his way of saying, listen, you keep on flying back and forth to Mississippi.
Right.
If you want to feel like you got friends, then just live in Green Bay.
Right.
That's the way he was a leader, not necessarily passive aggressive, but just straightforward. I mean, and he would call those guys and say, hey, Aaron Rodgers, I don't like that baseball cap you're wearing, man. That's not Packer. You know, Rodgers has said that. So over the weekend, Bill, they unveiled and dedicated the new Bart Starr Memorial Bridge. When you go from Lambeau across the Fox River on Walnut Street, it takes you into downtown Green Bay. Just happens to be a Cherry Street there. And so his wife, Cherry, was there, and I got a chance to say hi to her for you. She says hello. But this was Saturday morning. The governor was there. She tell Bill we love him and all the years that you guys worked together at the foundation. And so she was talked about what it would be like if Bart had known that they would name that beautiful bridge after him.
It just warms my heart every time I come back to Green Bay to how blessed we were to spend our career here. He would be so proud, and I know he's looking down and smiling at all of us today.
Good words from Cherry Starr. What a neat weekend when it comes to whenever you get a chance to see them, Mike. It's always special.
Well, they always seem to do it right. You know, they got up early. They were, you know, if There was a story over the weekend of a guy that came to their door and who just said, "Hey, I just wanted to know if I could get an autograph for my dad." And Bart came to the door like, "Who is this? What's this all about?" He goes, "My dad. He's a big fan, and he just wanted to know if he could get your autograph." He goes, "Where's your dad?" And he said, "Well, he's actually out in the car." "Well, bring him in." "Really?" "Yeah, bring him in." Bart brought them in, showed them around, showed them the trophies, talked to them for an hour, took pictures. That was Bart's. He did that all the time. That's why he's such a legend in Green Bay.
No doubt. Hey, Mike, I know it's a short week, so give us thoughts coming up this weekend or this week as the Packers get set to take on Arizona.
Well, first of all, as you reported, Matt Nagy, now head coach of the Bears, has tested positive for COVID. Yep. The Packers have upped their COVID testing today. That's one announcement that they made before they get on the plane. They're going to have one walkthrough tomorrow, essentially. They actually started the rehab after the game last night. Devondre Campbell said, "Yeah, right after this press conference, I'm supposed to go to the training room and start some of the flush, some of the things they do to relieve the pain, get the swelling down, all the inflammation, so they can get those bodies back for Thursday." But it'll be more of a mental week. They leave then Wednesday afternoon, and then Thursday night they kick it off against the undefeated Cardinals.
Mike, good stuff as always, buddy. Take care. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Bill. All
right, pal. Talk to you later. There you go. Mike Clemens joining us for a couple of minutes and going to some terrific stories, some good stuff. And it was he's right. It was a really good weekend when it comes to Jerry Starr and accepting the honor of having the Bart Starr Bridge named this past weekend. So good stuff. Coming up tomorrow on the program, we'll kind of start to look ahead as it's a short week for the Green Bay Packers. We'll start to look ahead to the World Series as well as that gets underway tomorrow night with both, as a matter of fact, the Astros and the Atlanta Braves. And we'll also take a look at this. It's homecoming week. It's an exciting week when it comes to football out at Camp Randall. So we got that coming up this weekend as well. So we got a lot of good stuff to look forward to when it comes to, and don't forget, with it being homecoming weekend and the Packers playing on Thursday night, the Badgers really are, when it comes to football in the state of Wisconsin, they're the only game in town, man. They're the only game in town. That's it. So it should be a good weekend. Should be a fun weekend. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to it a lot. Good stuff today. Back at it again tomorrow. So until then, have a good one. Hopefully everybody's going to stay attached to the ground as the winds have picked up. But at least it's drying out. At least the sun has come out. At least where I'm at, the sun's come out. And don't forget as well, tomorrow we'll be telling you a little bit more about the food coming up for the cigar dinner and some of the other things that we have going when it comes to heading out to Jim's Bar in Prairie du Chien in just a couple of weeks. Got some more exciting stuff to talk about with that as well. Until then, time for us to go. Have a good one. See ya.